right, hello, welcome to another edition of the News Roundtable with the Forage Circle. And this episode is called A State of Uncertainty. So, on the panel, we have my co-host Big Rich and Bryan the Gravedigger, and also the Lonely Banter. And hopefully over time we'll start establishing the panel and adding people on and doing all that fun stuff. But this is everyone this evening on this current news round. How is everyone doing?
We should make you start over because you messed up Brian's
I
name.
know.
Hey, I am Bryan the Brave Digger. Thank you. If you haven't dug bravely yet, you got some issues. I am excellent, Lady Squirrel. How is everybody else doing tonight?
I am lonely.
And Florida, so.
In Florida.
Yeah, I can't
Maybe.
complain.
Maybe.
Can't complain. Just chilling. Getting my mind right for the start of this magical work week tomorrow night. But yeah, other than that, I'm chilling. I watched the dog show today. I've never
You
sat
watched
down and
Westminster?
watched. Yeah, I never sat down and watched it. I sat there and literally watched the dog show. I'm like,
Is it the
oh,
Westminster one?
yeah. They had
Yeah.
it. I guess it was at Madison Square Garden, and I was sitting there. I just didn't change the channel. I was just sitting there watching it. I'm like, oh,
Do you know what's
this is
sad?
pretty cool.
The only reason I know that is because Ryan Reynolds did some promos for it. For a
Really?
Yeah, his gin.
That's the only reason I knew about it. I was like, oh yeah.
I literally sat there and watched that thing. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool, actually.
Shoot.
When I worked at the pet cemetery, I would be able to sit with the owner.
Oh,
Unless I had something that immediately needed to be done, like checking a cremator or digging a grave, we'd chill all day and watch that. Same thing with tennis, but yeah.
Wait, you said
Westminster
Pet
was a big
Cemetery?
thing.
yeah, that's what I'm
Hey, man.
pet cemetery. Like
I
for real?
told y'all, I seriously used to dig graves. Like, it's not a joke.
I'm just
it's something
saying,
I got
it
good at.
wasn't on a ancient burial site, was it? Like, no,
Allegedly.
none
Well,
of
you
that.
know, we are in Oklahoma, so
Oh, okay,
pretty much
yeah.
everywhere. But I mean,
Oh,
no,
man.
this place. Honestly, when they bought it, they brought it up 10 foot from where it was, so we wouldn't hit anything that was down at the original ground level anyway.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That's what's up.
All right, Squirrel, I'm gonna shoot you a couple links.
Okie dokie.
They're videos from YouTube, so I don't know how that works, but
You know,
Are they twerk videos?
oh no, these are
Okay, all right.
hopefully it's not the weird white guy from Central Florida video.
these are the airborne AIDS videos.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I've seen this. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, you saw that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. What I'll do is I mute them, just so that way, winky wink.
Yeah, it's all in Chinese, but
Speaking of, hey, did you guys see
There's
that
nobody
video
talking over
of weren't they were pulling out some lady, I guess supposedly that was infected, or snatching her out the car,
Oh,
and
yeah.
supposedly
Yeah.
she died. I don't know if it's been confirmed, but as they were snatching her around, I guess when she was fighting them, she just died up and died. Like,
Yeah.
it was crazy.
I saw that.
there's
video.
I think there's currently 2 people in China that are on the run because they were told to quarantine themselves, and they refused to. So now there's warrants out for their arrest. Same thing's
Oh.
going on in Britain. I think their health department declared the coronavirus a serious and imminent threat to public health, and they said they would forcibly detain it if infected, be infected if necessary. So I mean, it's like I told everybody last week. If you're put into quarantine and you want to be that person that goes out and spreads it, you will be under armed guard.
Oh,
I'm
So,
telling you.
all right. I think they playing. They ain't playing.
This is a video that Brian. This is a quote, forced quarantine. They keep calling it voluntary, but obviously people are frightened to go, and I don't blame them. I put it on mute. This is from the AP, pulling out the husband. I'm assuming this is the husband and wife.
Right.
Yeah,
It's like,
and there's
this look like the cops kicking the door in,
Dude, yeah.
they were cops.
giving me flashbacks.
Yeah.
Wow. Thug life, man.
There's LB on the floor. Oh no.
Having
got 'em.
PTSD.
We got him, boys. Oh my god. But yeah, I saw this video on Twitter, and it was like they're yelling and screaming, obviously, and they're saying, like, I don't want to go, You know, because their fear is that they're going to die wherever they go.
Oh, they'll be disappeared. Yeah.
Yes, and that's I don't want to play the whole thing because I don't want to get in too much trouble, but it's basically them forever. This video is like 2 minutes long, trying to drag this
Yeah.
person out.
Like
There we
they
go.
pull
Wow.
they pull the first 3 out in like 10 or 30 seconds, and this guy,
His shirt's off,
oh
man.
man, like you can just tell like the way he's speaking, like he's pissed.
Oh yeah. And that they were earlier, you know, there was that video that you guys were talking about with the woman getting pulled from.
The car, yeah.
Yeah. There
Mhm.
was one where there was a woman. They were, oh man, she didn't want to get quarantined, and they were forcing her to go. And there was another one I'm not going to show because I know it'll get flagged like instantly.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You already know. There was this video of this. It's a sad one, and it was an older gentleman, and he had killed himself. He hung
Oh,
himself from a tree in the street, and
wow.
they were, of course, they're all wearing masks. They're having to quarantine this individual because they don't know if he's holding the virus. He didn't have a face mask on, but it was quite evident that he was dead, and so they were pulling him down from this tree. There was another video, which I'm not showing as well, where a lady was being, you know, everyone's being forced into quarantine to their homes. And she was climbing out of her window to avoid being taken in for quarantine. She was trying to get out of quarantine in her apartment and fell from a high
Yeah.
rise.
That's the one I saw.
Yeah,
I haven't. Yeah, I have not seen those
you
yet.
don't.
No.
Yeah, you don't want it. It's pretty disturbing. But yeah, there's a lot of those types of videos going around, and you know, some you don't know for sure. Some were bullshit. Like there was a video that was posted last week on somebody who I thought was reputable. She ended up pulling it and apologizing, but it was posted on her Twitter. She is a reporter, and the video was not pleasant at all. It was very much not what these people had died from. It was not from the virus. It was from something else, you know.
Hmm.
But it was still this, you know, false information that was floating around. People immediately jumped on her for it because, yeah, it's crap. So it's always important to check resources, basically.
Now, I don't know if you can search for this later on or whatever, but supposedly you hear about what North Korea is doing. Like they've been really containing it by just dumping. I guess they've been told to dump the bodies or whatever, or whoever was quarantined or whoever was infected. I'm sorry.
I think, let me see. I know I heard about it.
And I don't know how true it is, but that was just something I glanced over, and I'm like, the heck, North Korea is not playing.
Yeah,
Like,
North Korea, like that first week, like it was a day after the announcement, they closed their border with China.
yeah, they're like, nope,
And they
not
do have
today.
rumors floating around, and nothing is confirmed. Of course, the only thing you're hearing it from is from South Korean media that
Hmm.
North Korea has 7 or 8 cases of the virus in the country. But see, we don't know for sure because North Korea is not going to be saying shit.
No,
They're not going to be like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, let me tell you how it goes.
they're like, nah, we good over here. Don't worry about it. That's basically what they're gonna say.
And you know there's been a lot of other stories about this is from the Daily Beast, so I'm going to try to open this here so I can take a look at it, but it's about North Korea, and it was recently published last 24 hours, and this is February 10th for reference. Anyway, I'm like, oops. All right, so North Korea's secret coronavirus crisis is crazy scary. um, it says that Kim Jong-un canceled a big parade with no explanation, just as the South Korean press reports coronavirus had hit North Korea hard and could explode there. So the article just kind of goes on talking about one sure sign of the regime's fears is that it failed to stage a parade in central Pyongyang on Saturday, the 72nd anniversary of the founding of the country's armed forces. Last year, Kim Jong-un himself presided over the procession that displayed the North's latest missiles and other fearsome hardware, along with a goose-stepping soldiers in serried ranks. Um, goose
I don't know why the goose
Goose
stepping makes me
stepping.
laugh.
Yeah,
goose stepping.
got to make sure you goose stepping.
You know, sometimes in life you got to goose step. Isn't that right,
Got to
Ike?
goose step.
Shout out to Terrence.
This year, nothing about the nation's nuclear warheads, much less the new strategic weapon that Kim had vowed to unveil. So they're basically just saying, oh, you know, they're having all these difficulties, but they won't elaborate on what those difficulties are. They're not sharing a lot of this information. And they were saying here, Daily says Daily NK, which relies on sources inside North Korea that sends reports via Chinese mobile phone networks to contacts in China, said authorities had ordered public health officials, and I couldn't pronounce this if I wanted to, Sinjui?
Yeah, yeah. Let's just go with that.
Okay. I'm like,
Yeah,
I did not
we'll
take
just go with
Korean
that.
or North Korean language.
Yeah.
So they ordered public health officials in Sinjui to quickly dispose of the bodies and keep the deaths secret from the public. The victims had crossed the porous Yalu River.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
that's what we're going with.
All right, cool. Yalu River. Americans reading Korean.
We're going to
Yeah.
double down on this. The only thing I know how to say properly in any Asian dialect right now is that doctor's name.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
Just have to pay respect, Joe.
No, I mean, what about ni hao? There you go. We can.
Ni hao.
I,
Oh, I can say other
Yeah.
stuff. Just
I know how to
not
say
Chinese.
Mulan. That's about it.
You said Mulan.
I know if you say Bopo Josio to any Korean woman, she'll give you a kiss.
Oh my. What does that mean?
Give me a kiss.
You're out of I'm calling the cops.
Long neo, ya push neo, Bobo Josio is you're beautiful, something else. I had a Korean friend in high school.
Like, yeah, girl, you beautiful.
Hey,
Come
girl.
on.
Bobo Josio, girl.
Oh.
She didn't
The more
explain
you know.
any of it, but yeah.
She's like, here,
Wow.
just say this. It'll be good for you.
Yeah.
She was
So-
my wingman.
The victims had crossed the porous Yalu River border despite orders to cut off traffic from China as the disease radiated from the industrial city of Wuhan, where the virus originated in December. As of Sunday, more than 700 people had died inside China. Those numbers have obviously changed. One of the first patients in North Korea reportedly was hospitalized in Sinjui, with symptoms similar to a cold and was given fever reducers and antibiotics at the Daily NK, but the patient died as the fever rose. 2 more patients died 2 days later in another hospital in Sinjui, and another 2 in a nearby town. So North Korea's worries about an epidemic are all the more intense because of its shortage of basic medicine and equipment. As cases mount, authorities are working feverishly to contain a disease that, if unchecked, could undermine Kim's grip over 25 million people, and most of whom live in poverty worsened by hunger. Allegedly.
Ooh. Whoa,
And there's
whoa.
the doctor right there.
Yeah, this doctor is the one. He died. Yes, he died a martyr. This was one of the, the part of the 8 doctors that were whistleblowers. He was
Yeah.
and he,
Yeah.
his name and stuff was brought out. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. It says the coronavirus whistleblower died a martyr for free speech in China. And Dr. Li Wenlang?
Li Wen Liang.
Okay.
You're like, I'm not going to argue with it. Like, yeah,
I
yeah,
wrote
we'll
it
go
down
with that.
phonetically and everything.
See, you got
There
it
we
down.
go.
Down.
There we go.
Because me, I'm like, I don't know what the hell. Okay. I'm sorry, doctor. He doesn't deserve that at all for what he's done. He's tried to save lives, and honestly, he was an important part of that. He was arrested in the beginning as being a rumor spreader or whatever. But he was killed on Thursday last week by the coronavirus he had warned China about. Now he's quoted all over Chinese internet. A healthy society should not have just one voice, is his quote. So rest in peace to him, and much love to his family and friends who knew him. And it's a very sad story.
He was only 34. That's a weird part.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what hit
Wow.
me. I'm like, man, he's 4 years younger than me.
And
Yeah.
this article will be linked in the description box for other people to read from the Daily Beast. This is all over the internet, pretty much the same information. But he did pass away from it. And he was among the ones arrested. Yay.
Very
And
sorry.
they said to him, "We hope that you will calm down and reflect well, and we solemnly warn you, if you are stubborn and maintain your own view and show no remorse and continue to conduct illegal activities, you will be punished according to law." In a communist country, say it ain't so. Okay.
No.
Hey, what's the fun? A labor camp or firing squad?
No shit.
Re-education center.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the story on that. It's just I don't know how people are not shocked by this like there's so many people who are like, I can't believe China would do that. They are our friends.
Sure.
Those are
You
just
know
people that don't read the news.
I definitely feel for these families and
Mhm.
the terror that they're going through, like how scared these people are going through that. You know, one minute they're living a normal life, and next minute it's just chaos. You know.
Right. And it's to see this hit people, of all families, especially the elderly, which is a huge
Hmm.
portion of the individuals that are being affected by it. It is heartbreaking.
Hmm.
And that's what upsets me the most, is that there is this lack of Americans live in a very sanitized and softened bubble, and we don't always
Hmm.
look at our news the way we should. Should you question what you've been told? It doesn't matter who the hell tells it to you. If the individual is a human being, you're damn right you should be questioning them. So always look at the information, take it in, understand the facts as much as you are aware of, because the truth is that, as far as natural truth, is that information is always going to be missing a piece, and things will change as time goes on. New information will come out, stories will change, and perceptions will change. So I'm never on the 100%. If I feel like something's just purely rumor and it's being vindictive, I have no problem being like, well, fuck that. But if it's
Yeah.
Hmm.
something that's really going to bring value to the conversation or a perspective, I see nothing wrong with it. There was the moment that this virus broke out, and we haven't really discussed this at all, primarily because it just feels like everyone's talked about it and beat it into the ground and tried to spin it to however they wish to spin it.
Hmm.
But the truth is that it kind of needs to be talked about in a way that's more conductive, not just, oh well, this thing happened, if that makes
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
sense. There's been too many people that have made up bullshit and just spread it all over the place. And at the same time, though, I do want to go over the facts of the bioweapon angle. Okay, a lot of people have spread that rumor online. Okay, this is a bio-made weapon. China has a history that is correct. I mean, the truth is that China has a history of doing a lot of shady things when it comes to viral diseases and things like that. Meaning they have laboratories and testing and all those other goodies. But
Free education centers.
yeah, that one's a favorite of mine, actually.
Yeah. Well, they call all of them re-education centers where they just test on you and everything.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
It
The
costs you
only
something.
thing, the only thing I have to add to that, Squirrel, is you do notice that there wasn't anything stopping the Hong Kong protests, and now
Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah. Ain't that's true though? Like
So if we're
that.
hitting the conspiracy angle, that's
Hmm.
my sidewall move right there.
Correct.
Hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I've thought about that too, because obviously now it is hitting Hong Kong. There are more cases showing up, and then they also in Hong Kong are not. Yeah, is that right? Yeah, that was right. In around the Hong Kong area, near the metropolitan area, one of the malls had a shooter.
Oh yeah, I
Was that
saw that.
was
What? Yo,
that in
I heard that. Like,
He
I was
took
at work.
out, I think he shot 20 people.
That was
was
in
And
Thailand. Wasn't that
Thailand? Was
Thailand?
that
let
Thailand
me
or
double check.
Saigon?
Yeah, that was Thailand. It was like some soldier. I was
Yeah,
still at work when that was going on. I'm like,
Okay, I
the
got the
heck?
cities all mixed up because there was other stuff going on in Hong Kong, but
Yeah, he was sitting there posting it on his Facebook and
that's
everything.
right. Was it in Thailand or was it in Saigon? No.
working.
It was. I thought it was Thailand.
Okay, he was a Thailand soldier at least. Let me.
Okay.
Uh huh.
All right, I got to mute for a second. Sorry.
No worries.
No, no worries.
Yeah, it
Yeah, I know he was a Thailand soldier. And it was. I just can't. I don't want to say for sure it was in Thailand, but
Okay,
it was a Thailand soldier.
got our confirmation. This is coming from AP. I'll shoot you the link if you want, Scroll, so you can reference it. But it's YouTube.
sure.
But it's a soldier who holed up in a popular shopping mall in northeastern Thailand. Shot multiple people on
Ah,
Saturday. So
Yep.
this is
Saturday.
actually kind of
Yep.
old now. He killed 20 and injured 31 others. I'm guessing he's one of the 20.
Yeah,
That's how they're going to count
yeah,
it.
he died. Yeah. He had him going for hours, and
Yeah, he was out there just letting off.
that's why
Dude,
I was
yeah.
really confused to where this was. I was like, is this in Hong Kong? Because at first there was like mixed reports, right, in the beginning where it was located, the shooter incident, and then they were like they clarified. I was like, oh, so maybe that was what I missed. I knew it was something off the wall, and I was like, what the hell? And like That didn't make any sense. I'm like, the timing of all of this is just bizarre. But the bioweapon thing and the Hong Kong connection, I've heard that too, that this is one way to definitely keep people off the streets or keep them out of the way, if they have to be
Mm-hmm.
quarantined.
Yep.
Now, this is a story from the Foreign Policy. I am a mixed fan of this website. This is formerly owned by the Washington Post. It is
Oh.
current the same people who own this. It's now, as far as the reputability of this website, this is from Media Bias Fact Check. They're least biased on this site, but that doesn't mean there isn't biased. It says overall we rate foreign policy least biased due to balanced reporting with a slight lean right and high for factual reporting due to proper sourcing and a clean fact check record. Now, the site is owned by what used to be, Washington Post. It became Graham Holdings Company. Graham Holdings Company is actually, they own Slate, as an example, and several other, quote, news outlets and websites. So I look at who owns companies, and, as far as the information, I felt like it was fine, as far as the way that the article itself was written. Am I a fan of it? Not really, just because it seems very opinionated to a point, and, like pretty much just going after websites. Now, it goes, I wanted to mention this in passing because there's truth in here for sure, meaning how a lot of these, there's been an outbreak of nonsense and conspiracy theories. On Sunday, the Washington Times, a paper with a distinct ideological bent, published an article claiming that the virus outbreak could be linked to military lab in Wuhan. The article suggests a government-run lab, the Wuhan Institute of Virology, could have been researching military applications for the coronavirus and may have been the source of the outbreak. The only basis for this claim is a quote from a former Israeli intelligence officer named Danny Shoman, or Shoham, whatever you would prefer, who has expertise in biological warfare. And he said in the article with the Washington Times, certain laboratories in the Institute have probably been engaged in terms of research and development in Chinese biological weapons, at least some collaterally, yet not as a principal facility of the Chinese BW alignment, he said. So while Showman never backed up the claim made in the story with the outbreak stemmed from a biological weapon, other outlets nonetheless picked it up and ran with it. And including this one here, which is Great Game India, a small conspiracy website, which, among other things, has reported that the British intelligence was responsible for the downing of the Malaysian Airlines Flight 17 over Ukraine in 2014, began publishing reports last week claiming that the Canadian researchers had sold the strain of the coronavirus to China. The co-founder and editor of the website has also written extensively for the Center for Research on Globalization, a Montreal-based site that has been identified by NATO as a peddler of Russian and Syrian propaganda. The website pointed blame at, I can't pronounce this dude's name, bless him. Sorry. I can't do it. The website pointed to this guy, a former researcher for the National Microbiology Laboratory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, a government-run lab that pioneered vaccines and treatments for various infectious diseases, including Ebola. While it's true she was escorted, it's a girl. My bad, lady. Anyway, I forgot this is the female that got in trouble with the Canadian government over other stuff. But anyway, while it's true she was escorted from the lab last year by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, there does not appear to be a national security element to the incident. Charges have not been laid, and those familiar with the case say it's likely a matter of paperwork and protocol. Whatever. The lady they're talking about, in fact, worked extensively with labs in China to create treatments for deadly infectious diseases. And she also worked with them to create the, I think it's called the Z-MAP, the Ebola vaccine. She's the one that helped co-create that. So she's a part of that work. While the claims that were made on the Great Game India are demonstrably untrue, the supposed shipment of the coronavirus in 2018 was in fact, for the MERS strain, not the novel coronavirus currently seen in Wuhan. It nonetheless got picked up by fellow conspiracy sites Zero Hedge, which has a massive following of 670,000 Twitter followers and millions of visitors to its blog. It posts on the baseless theory that has been shared more than 6,000 times on Facebook and tweeted out hundreds of accounts, including the Toronto Sun columnist,
Tariq
Fatah. The claims have since spread to a network of otherwise less reputable sites. Zero Hedge got booted the hell off because of that off of Twitter, just for context. But that's all, it goes on into other things about how this isn't true and so on. And okay, that's fine. But you notice, here's the deal I have about a lot of these things, is that they've had other people that have come on to, for example, I wouldn't say a small, as far as Great Game India, it definitely has a conspiratorial feel to the website. At the same time, they have had reputable people coming on there to speak. So that's as if to say that anyone that goes on that website at any point ever in the future is full of shit, which is, I can't say that that's true at all. So it's almost like they're trying to, in a roundabout way, saying because, and this is it an article this person wrote, or was it someone that they hosted that claimed this, about the Malaysian Airlines? I don't know. They didn't say that. But they said, oh, well, they reported this. Okay. Was it a guest that you had on speaking? Was it an article that someone wrote? Just because someone has a questioning of it or believes information that they were given doesn't automatically make everything on the website bullshit either. Now, there are some websites who are just purely for like the doom porn, kind of like InfoWars to a greater extent, where you go on there and it's going to be doom porn. You're like, we're all going to die, 9/11.
Good old hate speech.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean I'm going to go on there and be like, okay, everything on here is bullshit either. I'm going to look and see, well, who the hell are they talking to? And is this person selling something? And what is their intention? And then I'll be like, because I won't ever cite that website, unfortunately, for anything. I need to have a basis for that information, an actual basis, not just opinion. And people who actually have reputability, not just somebody's mom. Okay. So the stance on this to me is not, I don't know, the way it was written, this whole article is very biased in its own way of saying, well, it's all propaganda, it's all the arm of one propaganda of the Russians, the Iranians, whoever. I'm surprised they didn't say American propaganda, but we don't have that because we're Americans, right? We don't do that here.
Nah, never.
But the articles and stuff that they were referencing before, basically this is from the National Post. This was published last year, August. And biowarfare experts question why Canada was sending lethal viruses to China. And the quote here is, and this is from some of the experts that they spoke to in the article, I think the Chinese activities are highly suspicious, one expert said, after it was revealed a Winnipeg lab sent samples of Ebola and Hennepin virus to China. So the highlights out of this article are short. I just went ahead and highlighted them earlier. Scientists from Canada's National Microbiology Laboratory, NML, have also said the highly lethal bug is a potential bioweapon. But this March, the same lab shipped samples of the Hennepin virus family and of the Ebola to China, which has long been suspected of running a secretive biological warfare program. China strongly denies it makes germ weapons, and Canadian officials said the shipment was part of its efforts to support public health research worldwide. Showing of such samples internationally is relatively standard practice, but some experts are raising questions about the March transfer, which appears to be at the center of a shadowy RCMP investigation and dismissal of a top scientist at the Winnipeg-based NML. Quote, I would say this Canadian contribution might be counterproductive, said Danny Showman. See, here's this guy, a biological and chemical warfare expert at Israel's Bryan University. I think the Chinese activities are highly suspicious in terms of exploring at least those viruses as BW, or biological weapons or agents. Another professor in here also is quoted. So this is one of the initial reports that people have referenced. And this was from August of last year, nothing new. Another follow-up, this is from CBC, it's kind of like CNN for Canada. Canadian government scientist under investigation trained staff at Level 4 lab in China. Still no answers in probe, and this article was actually published October of 2019. So still no questions in probe of government scientists expelled from the National Microbiology Lab in Winnipeg. And this just goes into that gal that was part of this group, and they believe it wasn't, what that person is alleging is it's more paperwork related than it is necessarily anything, quote, shady. It was a policy breach, is what they were claiming. Now, let's see here. They're still considered reputable at the University of Manitoba. This was the lady doctor as well as her spouse, who were also teachers there. Q or whatever, Quai, whatever. I'm sorry, sure. Is a medical doctor and virologist who helped develop ZMapp, a treatment for the deadly Ebola virus, which killed more than 11,000 people in West Africa between 2014 and 2016, and saw an outbreak in Congo earlier this year. She's a medical doctor from Tianjin, China, who came to Canada for graduate studies in 1996. She is still affiliated with the university there and has brought in many students over the years to help her with her work. So during these trips, she also visited the Chinese Academy of Science, a university, a medical academy, and a biotechnology school in Beijing. She spoke at several conferences, including some organized by the World Health Organization, the Chinese Society for Virology, and International Symposium on Emerging Viral Diseases. So that's background on her. Yeah. So there's really nothing there necessarily, but I wanted to touch on one thing, because I started noticing that what we talked about last week was that we've had an immense amount of articles talking about the Thailand thing, where I'm sure everybody, if you were listening last week on the news roundtable, we talked about it in passing, how they're claiming that Thailand has discovered this cocktail, basically of an HIV-1 mixed in with an antiviral to treat the novel coronavirus, or the Wuhan virus, whatever you prefer to call it. And it was helping, but it wasn't curing it. It was just like a palliative care thing to help the person, get through it so they can build up that immunity to it, or at least get through it so they're recovering, in quotes. But the news never really elaborated on why they were feeling this way. Why it's the way the mainstream media here in the States played it up. And this is where my red flag came up. I don't believe that it's a biological weapon, but I do believe that this is some kind of bizarre mutated strand of this novel coronavirus, is some strand that's unfamiliar to SARS and MERS and all the bullshit that we were being pumped through the media about. What was it, you guys? This isn't worse than the flu. The flu is worse than this virus. SARS is worse than this virus.
It was.
It was for like a week.
Mm-hmm.
And now the data we're looking
it has
at,
surpassed SARS at this point.
this is currently the numbers. So there are currently 43,102 confirmed cases worldwide, including 1,018 fatalities. And we're only maybe 3 months into this.
The deaths have jumped since I started checking on this stuff.
Yes,
I guess
sir.
it's because it's a new day in China, but yeah, they're up to 1,100.
Every day they update it. So
1,000.
I'm just saying, like, I'm kind of offended because you said last week when we discussed this, I wasn't here.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, kind of left them out. Yeah,
I know.
making them feel bad.
He was out of town. I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't.
You should have just said when the cool kids discussed this last week. Then
Yeah.
He can't be lonely if he's invited to everything, right?
Yeah. Good point.
We got to help you keep your brand, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay. Well, last week there was a couple articles. We talked about all these ways that they were treating it, but this is currently the numbers we have. As far as suspected cases, there is 21,675. Now, these are based on the numbers that they are, quote, reporting. There's a lot of problems with their testing on this virus. We already kind of stepped into that a little bit, where this virus is not always detectable. It could be days before it's detectable, and that's with or without symptoms. And they have to do nasal swabs. They have to do like throat swabs. And in even those cases, that person may come up with kind of like a false negative. So there's a lot of problems with this. But if you look at the numbers just out of China, these are just out of China numbers in this little category I'm highlighting here. There is 7,333 serious cases and 3,996 recovered, 21,675 suspected. That's just suspected. That means they haven't gotten a confirmation yet, but they are showing symptoms. So the problem is that China has also done some other things here this week, but right now outside of the country, which is like Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Macau, those are up to 70 cases, 1 death, One death was in Hong Kong. Japan and all these other countries are outside of that. There's 394 cases with one death, and I think that was in Malaysia. The Philippines, yeah. And 12 are in serious or critical condition. They're not really elaborating too much on that part. Japan is just going higher and higher, and we'll get into
Well,
that reason.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's so much stuff. But one of the things I wanted to talk about really quickly before we jump is that with I'm trying to think of the right word here. With what's going on with the reporting in China, the government is going to decrease the numbers based on different things. People have to understand that despite China's cooperation with the WHO, they are China. They do whatever the hell they want. As long as you understand that these people have concentration camps and call them re-education camps, then we're all fine. If you accept that they're saying it's just a re-education camp, you're hilarious. So this is a communist, capitalistic mutant of a government, and they're not going to be transparent. They're one of the second largest donors to the WHO, the World Health Organization, not the band.
Every time you say the Who, I'm thinking of like the what is it, Miami CSI, where he had the sunglasses and they had to scream from the Who song.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, redhead boy. Yeah. Him.
Yeah.
NYPD blue guy.
Horatio.
Yeah, that guy. So I can't remember his name right now. I know he tried to have a movie career and it didn't work out for his ass. But
Yeah.
he's like, I'm gonna do this. I'm like, all right, see you later.
And go ahead, get on them straight to DVD movies.
Yeah,
It's
he
all
had like
good.
one movie, and after that, I don't remember. Now he's back on CSI, taking his sunglasses off, thinking about life. But you know what I mean. But one of the things that raised a red flag for me as well, like there was one more thing about just how weird this virus is acting. Now, there have been calls for finding the source of this virus. So far, China has not been successful at narrowing it down to where it comes from. There's been suggestions of it being bats, all this crap. That's fine, but there is no proof yet. And there's also a lot of studies that have been going out there. But one of the things is the calls for investigation from the Fudan University biology alumni are calling for the investigation of the origin of the novel coronavirus in an open letter. Some of the alumni of the Fudan Biological Department urged Chinese officials to find out and investigate the root cause of the virus. After reading the open letter, this person who posted this, which I'll link that also in the description box under calls for investigation, I learned that the Chinese Communist Party signed and acceded the Biological Weapons Convention in 1984. So there's always a chance that this could be about that biological weapon. But even if it's not, this is obviously a mutated strain. Now they say, oh, it's not mutated. Well, that's a joke. Because there's been some more stuff that's popped off, especially about how this virus is acting. Now there was, I hope it doesn't do what I think it's going to do. Please tell me it didn't. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to move screens around without things hopping on me.
No worries.
I almost had a moment there I was about to beat the computer down. Anyway, I was like,
Hey,
Yeah,
sometimes the old dad thunk on the side of the TV just works.
just give it a good old backhand. You'll be all right.
So this article, it's addressing a study related to the coronavirus, and it's a little different than another study that I also have. But this is from Thailand Medical News. I did look at the actual report. I do have a link to that study. This is just the summary portion of it. And there's a lot of anger from the medical community about sharing data, getting the information out there. This article from the Thailand Medical News, this was published on February 8th, about 3 days ago. So it says the largest meta-analysis of the sequenced genomes of the coronavirus reveals a new subtype has emerged, which means mutations. So what they're finding is that this is a nice summary of explanation of the study, which I will ensure is in the description portion. But it says, while many medical experts are denying that the new 2019 novel coronavirus has mutated or can mutate, a new meta-analysis based on a detailed study of all known genomes sequenced from samples
Collated.
Thank you, collated.
Sorry, it's tiny. I can barely see it too.
Yeah, at first I was like, collated. Okay. from all infected patients from around the world have revealed a disturbing fact that many medical experts and health organizations are refusing to make known to the public. The coronavirus is a new subtype that has emerged since its first debut in December 2019. This has serious implications and also confirmed that the coronavirus is indeed evolving and mutating, and that too at a fast rate, considering that it's only for about 4 weeks or so since the first genome was sequenced. That already is a subtype is gradually emerging. The detailed genome study identified for the first time a hypervariable hotspot in the virus proteins, eventually pinpointing 2 virus subtypes. The latter differ only by a single amino acid, which is able to change the sequence and structure of ORF8 encoded protein, a virus component yet to be characterized. The study is already published in the Journal of Medical Virology, and we at the Thailand Medical News would like to see which medical, quote, experts or health organizations would dispute this claim, though they will just merely avoid talking about it. The largest analysis of the coronavirus 2019 nCoV genomes that have been sequenced so far also confirms that the virus originates in bats and shows a low virus heterogeneity. The leading author of the study is Dr. Federico M. Jagori, bioinformatics researcher at the Department of Pharmacy and Biotechnology of the University of Bologna. So this recent study organized the genomes of the 56 coronavirus strains sequenced in different parts of the world, including those extracted from 2 Chinese patients that are currently at the infectious disease ward of the Lazario Spallanza hospital in Rome, Italy. So the study goes on, but basically they are concerned about this because it is showing a form of change and mutation.
Oh, man.
So
that's really scary.
It is, because I mean, there was a couple other doctors have said this is acting unstable, you know what I mean, and things that it was doing and the infectiousness of it, right? One other thing here, and this goes back to, remember I mentioned already in this stream, but how like they were saying that they were using HIV cocktails with like an antiviral drug and giving it to people and it's helping them through it. I thought to myself at the time, how the hell did these guys decide we're going to use this? There had to have been something. Well, this is a study that was published from an Indian college, and this is around January 31st, roughly. They were part of every other country that also got samples of the genome, so that way, they could go and take a look at what they could, figure out the basis of where this sourcing is. What's included in this? What are they looking at? So it says the title of this is Uncanny Similarity of Unique Inserts in the 2019 nCoV spike protein in HIV-1, GP120, and GAG. So what they were finding is that it's carrying similar traits, meaning uncanny similarities of unique inserts, meaning that it has a similarity in this aggressiveness that HIV carries to some extent. Not saying it's the same thing, it's just carrying traits of, lack of better words. They're finding unique inserts that make them identify or be similar to the amino acids that are the same in HIV-1. So that's what this is, and I'll have that linked in here as well. These are all the contributors, these are all the doctors that were working on this, and you can find this on their website as well. This is a reprint of the study that they just collaborated on. But it's a very interesting read. I know it's a lot of science shit, and I failed science, so hey, whatever. But, I know enough common sense. One of the things that people say, well, we know what HIV-1 is, but what is GAG, right? So I decided to look up GAG, because I was like, aside from the obvious of what GAG would be. But, but what GAG is HIV assembly is controlled primarily by a GAG protein. Okay, GAG. One of these gene products that are encoded by all retroviruses. So the GAG orchestrates and handles the assembly by recruiting all of the building blocks required for the formation of fully infectious viron, which in the case of HIV-1 include both viral and cellular components. That means that's where they're finding these amino acids, is in both HIV-1 and in the GAG, which is related to HIV-1 as well. So it's kind of like looking for the trail, lack of better words.
Yeah.
So this is what the coronavirus is doing, and it's very, very unusual. And the fact that it is mutating, there's at least, I would say, not all of it, but at least some subtypes are starting to pop up, and it is a concern because we are only looking at 4 weeks. On the
Yeah,
strands that we currently have. Keep that in mind, and those are about a month old.
yeah.
So,
I heard rumblings about it earlier when I was doing my homework for this, and like now that you actually have a confirmation of that, that's really. I mean, it's starting to make a lot more sense if it's already having mutations at 4 weeks, because that's HIV kind of does the same thing, and a lot of people don't understand that there are multiple varieties
right.
of HIV and AIDS, and the mutation, I think the first week we covered this, I told you all about that game Plague Inc.
Hmm.
Mutation is one of the keys to victory. In
Right.
Plague Inc., you're trying to take over the world or kill the whole world with a virus of some
Right.
sort,
Hmm.
and mutation makes it where okay, you've beat like let's say 2019 NCOVA, and then it mutates, and
Right.
then you have B. You can catch B and get sick all over again, and because you're already immunocompromised from A, it's it's no good. At least at
Absolutely.
this point, there's no hemorrhaging or pusses or sores or pustules was the word I was looking for, or sores or anything that could rupture and help spread it because
Yeah. And I mean, there's, because I was kind of like, because I get curious about how things work. You
yeah.
know, I'm like, okay, well, what does this mean? And like, how does this work? And like, let's dumb it down, but not to the point where I'm a complete idiot. But how do I figure out like how these things occur, or how do these things, I guess, accumulate and move forward? Um,
I'm
so
just like amazed by all this investigative journalism.
Hey, we do our work here. We're not like other people just, spitting
It's a
shit
Yeah,
out
culture.
for subs and likes.
I'm in awe.
Yeah,
oh god,
yeah.
sorry. It's just I read about something and I'm like, well, that's interesting, but what does it mean? You know, or like,
Exactly.
I mean, I don't. I'll ask a friend of mine or somebody who's a professional. Okay, well, like, what does that mean? And they'll explain it to me, and I'm like, oh, well, that's okay. Well, that clarifies it because how I feel about this, I don't have fear about this virus. I have concerns, but I feel better when I understand how things work. So I means I like to understand how things work, so that way I'm not like feeling left out of the information there, or I feel out of the loop, or all of a sudden, you have people that start to panic or create bullshit stories and rumors. I'm the first person to go, okay, where'd you fucking hear that? Yeah, I'm not gonna be like, oh,
Hmm.
really, Susan? Ah.
No, like I come at you like a college professor. Where's your citations?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what's their references?
Yeah.
It's like it'd
Right.
be
We're
like
gonna
if you
solve
use
this mystery.
Wikipedia
Yeah.
or
Exactly.
It
Wikipedia on your
reminds me
dissertation.
of that show. Remember that show on PBS? Was it called Ghost Rider? Had the team of kids that had that ghost that helped them solve mysteries.
Oh
Samuel
man,
Jackson was in it.
yep.
Ah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were like it took place in New York or something. It was like a whole bunch of teens, a group of teens. They would solve these
I
mysteries, and
remember
this
that.
whole ghost
Was that
would
on
help them.
Was that on not PBS? Was it on PBS?
No, it was on PBS.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. That's what I thought. I was like,
yeah,
I really remember that show, and I remember going, "What the fuck?"
yeah,
It was so bizarre, but
yeah,
it was funny.
yep.
um, let's see. Okay, really quick. There was something else too that I had come across, and I got to back up because I hit it. Don't you hit it when you see something like and you click it and you go, "That was a mistake." Okay,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of rumors, and I want to kind of like go through them very quickly to not rumors, but I would say confirmed information that people are still not sure about, or better yet, it's kind of iffy. And I'm still iffy on a couple things, but I keep in mind that we are talking about a communist government. They run their country not like quote our democracy. So
You used the nice word. I would have said regime.
yes, and that's just being honest. Like I'm not trying to be hateful. Here's the thing: I believe in a separation between government and the people. Meaning,
Mhm.
I believe the government is usually and the truth is, if we were to be judged based on our government right now, we're all
Oh,
going to hell. we're all going to hell. So, and yeah, our hands are just as dirty as the next. So the truth is, though, is I separate the individuals from the government. So this is towards the corrupted, I would say, leadership in power. And a lot of these, I don't know. I got a lot of hate in my heart about this shit. I hate communism. But anyway, but I
What
wanted.
about socialism?
Oh, that's so different, though. It's not the same. Don't
Oh,
worry.
but we got humanism too now, though.
Whatever. Idiots, man. This is how we all die. This is how we all die. And they're going to be like, what happened? Oh, hashtag humanism.
Yeah.
All right. So this is something that I had seen earlier this morning. Because we've seen a reduced amount last 7 days, a huge change in the numbers outside of Wuhan as far as new cases. And we're hearing tons of stories. And, I have plenty of links, and I'm going to try to go through them. And I'm sorry it's taken up so much time, but there's just so much information of trying to clear out, you know what I mean, housekeeping wise. But this hit on Twitter, and a lot of people are like, well, that's not what that means, and the guy misunderstood it, or he didn't read it. But this is from Alex Lamb. He is a reporter, verified. He was actually cited through the Telegraph and Guardian about this information, and I liked it, the fact that the media picks and chooses what it wants to be paranoid about. Even if this, let's say for the sake of argument, that Alex Lamb, who's a reputable reporter from Hong Kong, wrote this and then, quote, misunderstood what he wrote, they're really not questioning it too much, which I think is interesting. It says Chinese National Health Commission has changed their definition of the Wuhan coronavirus confirmed case in their latest guidelines dated February 7th. Patients tested positive for the virus but have no symptoms will no longer be regarded as confirmed. This inevitably will lower the numbers. Now, if you scroll and you look at all the people going back and forth, there is a lot of problems, related to this. He said, he knows that it's worse than it is. He believes that through different, I would say, provinces and officials, that they are being told by the government to reduce those numbers or reevaluate those numbers. Now, the WHO has come back and said, no, that's not what we agreed on. We're the WHO, and everyone listens to the fucking WHO. Yeah, that's just like when the U.N. was there during Rwanda, everyone really paid attention. You're dumbass. Anyway, moving on. So this is just more of his data, but there's also a lot of other people saying here. It says here, for apologies to non-Chinese speakers, the highlighted text in the original tweet says, if symptom-free infected patient start to show clinical signs, revise this categorization to confirmed case. It implies that they aren't counted before the symptoms show. So that's what his clarification was on. A lot of people are still going back and forth with him on his quote, I guess, translation. But even so, I would definitely, he has a lot of different links and information that he is basing this on. It's not just him speaking out of his ass. So in my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case at all. I don't know why we're pretending that people follow the rules. I really don't. But so that's that. There's that for the numbers.
This makes a lot of sense because the numbers have been dropping. Everything I've been reading today said the death toll's over 1,000, but apparently new confirmed cases have started to drop.
Well, yeah,
with less than 100 reported in China.
Yeah.
So that's...
We'll get into that number dropping, but I wanted to point this thing out because there's a lot of... But keep in mind, to people listening, this isn't... I would take it to heart, meaning I would take the information, put it away on a shelf and say, I will consider that heavily. But that could change, meaning how they handle this in the future, or if suddenly the numbers start to show up, because there's definitely more going on. There's too many people that are bringing information out there that are concerned within Wuhan. They've shut down the internet, so there's VPNs being used to get out information as much as they can. But China has shut down the internet in many of these areas. So the information that's getting leaked out, man, there's one I will share with you guys, excuse me, of a medical worker that leaked the information out from one of these, the facilities we were looking at last week, the ones that they're popping up, the ones they're building in like 10 days.
Oh, yeah, that super hospital.
Yeah.
So there's a guy that was leaking stuff from one of those facilities regarding the real numbers that leaked about over the weekend. So that I actually will pull up here in a second. And he's arguing about the numbers because he believes that there's, oh my God, there's so much stuff going on. I can't explain it. So I'm going to go ahead and close that one out. This is from the New Zealand Herald. This was actually published the 10th of February, early in the morning. Coronavirus is airborne, Chinese official confirms. We already knew this, but thanks, guy. Anyway, a Chinese official has confirmed a scary new fact about the deadly coronavirus. It is airborne. It was previously understood that the two main ways the virus transmitted from person to person were direct transmission, so breathing in air close to an infected person who sneezes or coughs, or contact transmission when a person touches an object tainted with the virus before infecting themselves by touching their mouth, nose, or eyes. So this actually does go on. It explains that, however, over the weekend, an official in Shanghai confirmed the virus also traveled through aerosol transmission, which means it can float a long distance through the air and cause infection later when it is breathed in.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole article is cited, and I will have that linked. The next thing I wanted to bring up, and yes, this is verified. Breaking. Chinese expert Zhong Nanshan, led a research on the clinical trials of the coronavirus and concluded the incubation period of the virus can go from 3 days to as long as 24 days.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I know SARS can be on surfaces up to 28 days. But there's also some rumors. One other, I don't know. Once again, it's unconfirmed. This next thing I will pop up here in a second, that it can go to longer than 28 days, which is even longer than SARS on a surface.
Mm-hmm.
So previously they were saying the longest incubation was 14 days, and I will have the links to that study as well. For this individual who wrote this on the clinical stuff. Here's the individual's some of his information. Analyzes a sample of 1,000 new Crown patients. The incubation period is up to 24 days, and the connection with pneumonia is pending. So that means you don't even have to have symptoms, or active symptoms, lack of better words. Do you have this incubation period? You won't even know that you have it until it's there. And then it varies per person. It depends on your pre-existing conditions, right?
And the crazy thing is, it's like that with a lot of different, diseases where a lot of times people don't know that they're infected. HIV is one of like the main. A lot of times half the time people don't know they even have HIV.
Right.
Craziness.
Yeah, it does kind of blow your mind because you're like, this does kind of act like, like I was saying with like staph infection, for example. Even though you may not have an active storm of inflammation or signs of symptoms with staph infection, MRSA, whatever you want to call it, you will always be a carrier of staph to some degree. So that means at some point, eventually, you could have it reoccur.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's exactly what this is. It's acting very similar, and that was a hypothesis I had based on stuff I had read before. And I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if this was the case. There is this article here I'm trying to bring up. I have them all in order and shit. But Jesus, hold on. I apologize, guys. I'm trying to pop things up as quickly as I can.
No, you're good. Go ahead, take a second. Because most of what I'm reading from Europe right now relates to your last subject, where there's people coming down with the coronavirus that they didn't travel to China. They haven't interacted with people that have traveled to China. So
right. I mean, it's obviously going person to person, which the first case of person to person outside of China was in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't really, I hate the way that we treat other countries in the news. It pisses me off on a regular basis. Like the way that they first discussed this disease was just downplaying it, and it has this westernized ego to it.
Yeah, China's problem, not ours.
Correct. And you know how those Chinese are. It's kind of the way they alluded to it in the media, and it was very, in my opinion, very racist without saying it. Like, I'm being honest. I believe
no, it's true.
It felt like racism without them being racist. It was kind of like, oh, how us Westerners are cleaner.
Yeah, that's not cool.
China, as much as they are a communist country, they're not third world necessarily.
No. You see how big their cities are, man? It ain't like they're...
Wuhan itself, the city of
Yeah.
Wuhan is the size of LA or New York City.
Yeah. I mean, just huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, well, how many people are there? Like 11 million, excuse me. I can't remember the number just in Wuhan. I'm pretty bad. It's been a busy few weeks with all these cities being put on lockdown. But it's just the way the media kind of address it. It pisses me off. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to light a
Yeah.
cigarette. But so there was
It
this.
was crazy. I was looking at the drone. I didn't mean to cut
No, no,
you
no.
off.
Go right
I
ahead.
was looking at the drone footage when they were going through Wuhan, just to show how empty like the streets were and stuff. It was just crazy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm.
It's very spooky, like a bad video
Yeah.
game, right? I was like, what is
Yeah.
this? Now this is the article I was talking about. That's kind of a rumor, but the Global Times is a reputable source talking about this case of a woman that she was in North China's Shanxi, sure, province, was diagnosed. I don't know, man. I am slaughtering names. You'd think the coronavirus was in
Yeah.
my mouth. Okay, so
They gonna hop in your comments, be like, "You can't read."
get the hell out. Okay, Lee.
No, you nailed that one.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Shangji? Okay.
Don't lie to
There
her.
you go. Yeah.
Sean,
Gold star for you. There you
I
go.
got a cookie.
Shanzi, I think, or Chanzi, but
Yes,
it's
she was
close
diagnosed with
enough.
the nCoV 42 days after returning from Wuhan. So, I don't know what's up with that story. Meaning, I've heard about it. I find it to be right now until it's confirmed, and there's a whole lot more information. It's a rumor,
Mhm.
and I would take it as a rumor, despite it being through Global Times. It's from China. It's from the People's Daily. It is a government website, but at the same time, I need more information. That's all I got to say about that. One of the other articles I found, which it was earlier today. Man, I hate when people do that. I don't want to register. You can kiss my ass. Anyway, this article, I hate it when they're doing that. This is from February 8th. It says key diagnostic tests might be missing many coronavirus cases. So, meaning they're having an issue with their nucleic acid tests that they're doing. So, usually it's used to identify the presence of previously unknown pneumonia-causing viruses. But they're still having problems getting people tested properly for this virus because it's not picking it up. That's the point. So I'm trying to make
Wait.
sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Are they checking these people's DNA? Is that how they're doing that?
Man, I don't. Well, I
Because
know.
DNA is a deoxyribonucleic acid.
I don't think they're doing that. At least not I'm aware of.
Well, I know a virus has the ability to change your DNA. So
Mm-hmm.
I can't scroll. What am I doing, Brian?
You're like, I want to look at this article. Yeah, I'll send you the article. It just wants me to register, and I'm not doing it right now. But
Yeah.
but this, I thought this was really interesting because of the way that they're testing. Because right now I know that they're doing the pneumonia test, basically to pick up things like SARS, MERS, screening for pneumonia in general or viruses that could be in their stream. If they come up positive, there they go. But then they're also doing swabs and, nasal and throat. And they were we talked about last week a little bit where that was how they were finding out these people were actually still carrying it well after that they stopped showing symptoms. It was showing up in their fecal matter. It was showing up in their saliva. It was like they were still infectious. They were like super spreaders, and we talked about super spreaders a bit last week, when you're susceptible or you have a high structure of the ACE, I think it was ACE2 genetic formations. If you have a high amount of that genetic formation, meaning you have underlying conditions, maybe heart disease and asthma, you're susceptible, more likely to be, negatively affected by this virus. But you can also act as a conductor for the spreading of this shit. So I was like, oh my. I was like, that ain't good.
No, not at all. Jeez.
So the testing is a mess. They still don't. And the thing of China, the thing with China is that they're not testing people unless they're showing symptoms. So by then, how far into the disease process, illness-wise, are they? Who knows? It could be days. It could be 2 or 3 weeks in. We just don't know, and that's why why they have so many critical patients.
Boy, boy, boy. I hope everybody did their homework and watched Contagion, whoever's watching this.
I still haven't seen that yet, man. I need to
So,
get
Oh
on there.
yeah, yeah.
so,
I think
so
it's on. I believe it's on Netflix right now,
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
for real though?
and then it's on. I want to say it's on Epix or Showtime or one of them. I don't know, but yeah, I know it's on Netflix.
What are you gonna say, LB?
I was gonna say, based off everything you're saying, I could have this.
Oh, we could all have it and not know it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I did get a flu shot a couple months ago.
Oh, well, then you won't get the flu.
This is your
Congratulations.
flu shot. This isn't your. This is make sure you don't get the flu. This is going to give you Wuhan though.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm sorry about that,
Yeah.
Wuhan.
yeah.
So this is the posting I was talking about. This is a 4chan. Okay, and the reason why 4chan, I know that there's a lot of shit on 4chan. I'm not dumb, I know. But they've had whistleblowers show up on 4chan before. And because 4chan does not require you to use a clean connection, meaning you can use a VPN, you can come into the site anonymously and post. This makes it a great place for somebody, I don't know, in a zone that can't get into anything. So this
Mm-hmm.
is why I kind of lean that this might be, I'm just going to say might be true. Now, last week we talked about the pop-up hospitals. Remember that one that kind of was spooky and stupid
Mm-hmm.
green, looking like
Yep.
some kind of Resident Evil shit. So this photograph was taken. This is someone did a screenshot of a 4chan just to capture it, and this is the best way to pull it all together. It says 4chan. I'm a lab technician at the not able to pronounce that worth of shit hospital in
Who
Wuhan.
said Shan?
Wuhan Chen.
Yeah,
God bless.
then Shan.
Okay. I don't know how to say it. So, my brain goes, fuck it. So, he says he's a lab technician at this hospital. He goes, the situation is so much worse than you know. Reported death of coronavirus are just those of sudden type, not mnemonic. They're daily removing mnemonic patients to not return. Whole sections of the hospital, 200 rooms each, and have not been recorded. They are filled immediately with new mnemonic, patients. Please know that we are trying, but there's simply too much. And then someone asked him, how many pneumonic deaths have there been? How bad is the situation? He responded saying, only guess by how many rooms empty every day, 200 to 400 a day. Army moves them out into vans and they do not return. So then someone asked him for confirmation. He goes, is this sufficient? Which is him holding the thing that says 4chan and the date on it next to the door. And he goes, is this? I only know little of sight, hard to access often. So that was confirmation for him. So he goes on to say, only short time now, one left to say. Do not believe what the government says. 99% of pneumonic have left and not to return. Fever, sudden death near 30%, and no symptom, but diagnosed at 5 to 10% rate. No data from other area, Army, no other data from other area. Army and party infected recover much higher. So it means anybody a part of the Army or the Communist Party are actually recovering at a higher rate because they're probably getting better care. Yes, there it is. Administered by Army doctors only. Other recovery lineage report less than 50% Chinese. Would post more photos, but other workers here and typing this under table while the centrifuge is running. So these are some example photographs, comparison to the site. These pictures on the right-hand side, the sample images, are from their tour of that hospital. And these are pictures of his photograph that he took there to try to protect himself, obviously.
You gotta wonder the worst case scenario or scary scenario is these I guess victims that are in the later stages and they're getting taken away.
Yeah.
You gotta wonder what the army's doing if they're not returning.
Yeah.
If they're just saying, you know what, these guys are gonna go ahead and kill them off, put the body, dump the bodies or whatever,
Yeah. And
that's that.
here's the thing, right? Is that there, because of the way that the government is typically, I mean, it's not North Korea, but it isn't South Korea.
Yeah.
China is its own way, Tiananmen Square. So, in my opinion, we don't know what's really going on inside of the country. But, there's been rumors, there's been a billionaire guy that came out and was saying, oh, well, the numbers are way worse. And yes, this is from Zero Hedge, but it is linked. This is one of the people. She's a reporter I follow. But he does link a lot of things in here. But one of the things is he was talking to a billionaire who claims that there's a lot more than 40,000 infected. They believe that it's, it's way higher. But they've locked down. Beijing has partially locked down all communities under closed down model management. Original Chinese language in this person. She does a lot of translating of documents and information releases. But there's been people that have come out, whether it was a billionaire guy that's an exiled billionaire out of China who's like, I'm talking to friends and family there. They're telling me this is bullshit. Like, the numbers are bigger than what they're reporting. Not surprised. And just the number of new cases versus the ones that are, deaths. And there's the billionaire guy. He's exiled. But he did discuss that he believes that there, from what he's understanding, is like it's around 1.5 million Chinese are actually infected and 50,000 have been cremated.
Damn.
Now,
Ooh,
that's what he's claiming. Now, one of the things that was popping up on media, and the first one was the Epoch Times, okay, which I do trust the Epoch Times more so than some sites because they do actually have people who know what they're talking about, and there are reputable sources that they're citing in majority of the time. However, for a little while in the beginning, it felt like they were going conspiratorial, but they kind of went, basically they're the alternative news source with actual sources, so that's pretty good. But they made a note. This right here that you're looking at, this image, I'm going to click on it. Hopefully it doesn't, there we go. Hopefully, yeah, there we go. This is from IntelWave, and they were looking at sulfur dioxide releases, and U.N.D.com will pick those up. And what sulfur dioxide is the burning of organic matter. These are all around Wuhan. So when you look at the actual image, you can see there is Wuhan right here. I'm circling, it's hard to see, I know, to the left of the green area. And you see all the major cities where this outbreak has been, as far as the mainstay. But these fires, which is essentially what this area must be, is a burning. It is expanded very brightly in other areas. Like, it's not just Wuhan. These are the crematoriums. So that's what's happening. From the leaks that have been coming out from people within Wuhan, the fears of being, that's why these people are afraid to be quarantined, going back to Brian's video. They know that they're not coming home if they have this virus, especially if they're not at the tall end of the pecking order. So there's a lot of people in fear about this. This just goes on to talking about, there's issues with closing down manufacturing and things like that, which we will touch on. One of the other things that this is a video, probably this says it was in Guangdong province. Sure. But this is one of the new hospitals that they're building, and it's already under another one. So they're building these prop up hospitals quickly in a lot of these areas. And the individual that's talking is saying it's to deal with the pneumonia and so on and so forth. She did follow up and said, someone has told me this is Zai Golotan Bayan district in Guizhou City. I am totally slaughtering their language. I'm sorry. But
shame.
I know.
You get an A for effort.
Mulan is not happy with me. No, ma'am. So this is some of the stuff that's going on there. And the problem is because the government has done this lockdown, every little piece that comes out, we've had less and less video, might I add. But a lot of reporters have been silenced. There's been a lot of those things going on. I'm sure you guys have heard about that. Different on the, on the street type of reporting. Those guys have been just knocked down.
See, that makes me go back to that scary scenario. If they're picking up all this, bodies being cremated or burning up, that just, I can understand the fear.
Yeah.
They're saying that they know they get quarantined, they're not coming back.
Right.
And so you got to think, like, what is this government doing? Are they just saying, like, there's just so many infected, we got to cut this down, so we got to just start taking these people who we feel are too late in the infection, just go ahead and take them out.
Right.
And let's just cut down the amount of people that we're getting quarantined. Let's just go ahead and take out the ones we feel ain't gonna make it.
Right. That and then to be honest with you, as morbid as it sounds, I think that in a worst case scenario, that's what they would do if it was to that point. And
Hmm.
then they would always it's a humanitarian crisis, but they're doing it with a smile and saying, "No, we're taking care of our people." And then you see these videos they pop off with I remember the first person that they supposedly quote cured of the virus. They had to
Hmm.
come out like a dog and pony show, for all the
Hmm.
cameras in China to see, to reassure citizens. And this was before it spread to Hong Kong. This was before it
Hmm.
spread to Beijing, and before it went to all these other major cities. Um, and they were propping this up, saying, "Look, we're fine. Don't worry." I'm like, whatever. If it's coming out of a government's mouth, it is probably a 80% lie. Just saying.
Hmm.
So it's hard to say what is true and what is not true.
And honestly, I don't even watch like regular news like that.
Yeah, the only
Unless
time
it's
I
like,
watch local is for the weather, and
yeah,
even
unless
then, that's
it's
if I got a tornado coming.
yeah, yeah. It's really like the mass media. I just nah,
No,
not
man,
good on that.
it's for profit.
Mm-hmm.
No point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here's the video. Sorry, I had to restart this window for whatever reason.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, so this is in the Hubei province, Maotao township, whatever. And so this is the second worst hit city in the Hubei province, where 17 people live in this building. Is what I guess is the assumption, because I know 17 people don't live in the township anyway. Unless everyone's dead, then I guess that makes sense. But anyway, so they're talking about, oh well, they're responsible for temperature management, supplies allocation, mental health counsel for the people. So this is them going house to house and being like, "Don't worry, we're here to protect you. Here, let us take your temperature. This one can be taken away, Jim." No kidding.
Mm.
I see. Why would they hold the laser that close to their forehead? That actually if you've ever used one of those laser heat guns, that
I
it measures distance, and if something's hotter, it takes
I don't know why. I don't know if it's just a head, like a
less
forehead
time.
one. Maybe it's not the same thing as the
A
other.
forehead one.
Yeah,
It looks like the
it's a
exact same
forehead one
thing.
instead of the
It's trippy.
laser one. Yeah,
Mm.
I think it's one of those you have to be on the person to take their temperature accurately.
Yeah, maybe it's like the ones that have the like in the hospitals with the little metal plate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look at them, little purple
It
eyes.
looks like they're just spraying everything down with Lysol, like when you get the flu.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that ain't gonna cut it, buddy. Lysol doesn't kill virus. Well, does it kill viruses?
Well, yeah, it can kill forms of the corona, but
Not, not,
not known of
not
this.
HIV.
Not airborne AIDS.
No.
Hashtag airborne AIDS.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, at least we got an explanation as to why that saying came out, because it was really only certain parts of the world that were using that.
Yeah,
And that's what was making everything so confusing in that first week. Like when
yeah,
I was doing research 3 weeks ago, I'm like, what the hell? Airborne AIDS?
yeah. And then now it does, because they were getting
Mm-hmm.
information. And there was this video I saw, and it's not, and it's, I know, I'm one of those people, I'm very spooked out by shit very easily on some things. Other stuff's just sad. And there was this video that was of one of the quarantine cities. It doesn't indicate where. I think people are afraid to indicate at times where they're at, or what city or whatever, because they still have limitations. I don't know what city this is in. But let me scroll down here really quick. I'm looking really quick just to see if anyone followed up. Yeah, nobody's followed up on, this video. There's a lot of these videos that kind of come out and people release them, but they're afraid to say anything about, locations and stuff like that, for reasons of understanding, because they keep picking people up and they're disappeared, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the video, and it's in it's on a quarantine city, so you only see a few things, maybe a bus, maybe a couple cars. It's a major city, and you see a bunch of crows.
Wow.
And crows are attracted to, and I didn't know
Carrion.
this. I'm sorry?
Carrion. They're scavengers.
Yeah, they're attracted to to the sense of cremation, dead stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
And this is in one of the areas, I guess, where the crematoriums are working. I saw that and I was like, oh shit, I had no idea. I had to look it up. I just figured crows were fucked up. I'm not a bird person, man.
Well, that's where the story of the crow. That's where they got the crow bringing him back from the dead. That's where that came from.
Murder of crows.
But it's also it also goes through religions. That's why Odin had 2 ravens, but it's
right.
Different kind of. But yeah, it's trippy.
Yeah, I was like, that's spooky. I see stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, well, spooky.
Yeah.
See, there's got to be a lot to get that large of a group. That's definitely a murder at this point. You're right, Squirrel. To get that large of a group of crows, there's got to be a lot of dead stuff that's not being refrigerated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because otherwise the smell doesn't spread like that. If you can refrigerate it and stop the decay, which is just a bacterial process, then the smell doesn't happen because surprise, all odors are just a form of bacteria.
One of the things that dropped today was San Diego confirmed it had its first coronavirus case, and this is from the military group that was brought in to California. Or part of many of those groups, the ones that were coming on airliners, and there were like 200 people, or they come in lots of different diplomats and stuff.
Yeah.
One of them is a carrier of it, so they're in San Diego, and I know that they've taken people to other locations and other hospitals from these different, flown in military quarantine groups. So, because they're being kept on the bases there in California. So they got their confirmation today, and also, there's a ski resort in France where hundreds of people are being tested for the coronavirus after a British child was diagnosed with it. And the child was about 9, and they were visiting the ski lodge, and shortly after they got sick and so on. There's some really heartbreaking stuff, which I'm not going to get into all those cases, about a family, I think it was a family of 8 in Hong Kong. They all got sick with it. Coronavirus after sharing a meal together. Then they're in the UK. They're on a public health emergency now because now they have more cases coming in. UK cases double as 4 more people are diagnosed in the UK. That was from today. Looking at the headlines of it, also there is a general practice there in Sussex that's been temporarily shut down after a member of the staff there tested positive for the coronavirus. So the County Oak Medical Center in Brighton has also been closed by the National Health Services. As far as the big one that you mentioned earlier, we started to get into it, and I was like, oh man, is the Diamond Princess it's a Carnival cruise line that's there in Japan. With over 3,000. Yeah, man. What a travesty, man.
You know, it's
information.
Go ahead, LB.
No, I was gonna say, it's funny how I see people dropping videos and they posting on the news of how they're basically in a prison. It's like, man, you on a cruise ship. It ain't that bad.
Yeah, go play. Got the casino in there and chill out.
All the people that were brought off of that ship were sent to it's either 4 or 5 different hospitals in 4 or 5 different prefectures in Japan. So it's kind of like, okay, there's all the numbers are so confusing because there's a lot of governments playing the shell game right now where they're moving people around and you can't count them. And I was thinking about it earlier, and I'm like, it doesn't really make much sense for Japan to be helping China in the sense of hiding how many infected and how badly they're infected are. But then I was like, okay. And then I remembered World War II.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay, it's just Japanese shame.
I had a thought, but I don't want to get canceled later in life.
I'll run with it, man. Run with it.
This is to me is just a discussion. So in the end, anything we say, like I said before, it can be proven wrong, or it could be proven right, or it can just be an observation, but not necessarily truth, but an opinion. So go for whatever the hell opinion you want to have, sir.
No, you ain't baiting me.
Oh man,
He's
no, no,
like, nope, I ain't falling for that. Nope,
that's a fucking trick.
not today. Not today.
Yeah, I had a little bit of technical difficulties on my side. I had to, for whatever reason, it was giving me some shit on my side. But it still was recording, so whatever. But the coronavirus infection, for those who are just, finding out about it, it infected this Carnival cruise line out of Japan. They did 436 tests today. Out of those 436 tests that they've total been able to do over the last, I don't know, week since this has been put in here. Now they're at 135 positives, meaning confirmations of people having this infection on the cruise ship. The cruise ship, oh my God, because they've done it in like segments of these testing, but the cruise ship has, I think, 3,000, just a little bit over like 3,100, people on board. This is counting the crew. A lot of the crew members are coming up positive. But like, this is just, it's a mess. And, yeah, I don't know what were you going to say, LB? Mr. I'm going to get canceled and shit.
He ain't gonna say nothing now.
No, I ain't self-incriminating myself.
He's like, I was on a cruise line. No.
LB, you got to plead the fifth in order to be able to use that, though.
Hey, y'all not finna bait me, y'all investigative journalists.
God damn.
Sorry for our references. I mean, we're not doing the clickbait thing here.
No.
You should be so disappointed.
Let's see. But the majority of the people that are on this was one of the points I saved this article here, is from Japan Times. The government is now preparing to test dozens of the elderly patients as it investigates potential issues with hygiene control in the infected ship. And it is a problem. Like, they're not cleaning the rooms. And, so like every 7 days they're kind of having to clean it themselves. That was some of the people that were on board, talking about, was like, the food's fine. They're comfortable as much as one can be, but they can't leave. They can only go outside for like, I think it's for like an hour or so, and they have to stay away from each other when they're on the deck. They cannot hang out in the casinos. They have to remain in their rooms at all times. So it's kind of like,
well, that took away that fun.
Right. I was like, well, that blows, man. And it's nice to a point. So there have been people live streaming from the ship rather, because there's other ships, but they're not nearly as obviously high demand of this particular vessel. But what's crazy is that a lot of these people don't even know that they have the infection. So when they're getting tested, they're thinking, "Oh, I'm totally fine," and then they find out that they have confirmation they have it. That's when they're hospitalizing people in waves. So it's like Sunday night for us was like craziness there, because they had all these ambulances showing up. They say here that the ship has approximately 3,600 people on board. Okay. And they said that it was 2-week quarantine that ends on the 19th. They're going to be extending that already, which is what Bryan was talking about a little bit when I came back in there, and it was still recording, so we're good. But that they were basically saying that the majority of the people that are on this boat are elderly. That's the other thing that needs to be notated, is that a good percentage of the people that are on board are elderly patients or elderly people. And that's a concern, considering that this particular virus travels pretty wild through that population number, meaning 45 and older. And the older they are, most of the ICU patients, when I was looking at a study the other day, most of the ICU patients are the more severe cases, were people in their 60s to 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. What else information did you manage to find on this, Bryan or LB or Rich?
No. Basically, as far as the cruise ship, that's pretty much what I've learned. And the latest I read was about that they let they had some of the passengers taken off the ship. But that was like the last thing I've heard about it. As far as a cruise ship, I mean, and the thing about it is, it sucks, and I know, and I'm speaking because I'm not even on a cruise ship, but I understand that to an extent it's okay. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody wants to go home. They're tired of being on that ship. You can only do so much on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
But especially when they cut off a lot of things that you normally would be able to do on a cruise ship. So everybody's antsy. Everybody wants to go home.
Oh yeah, eating
At
good
the
down to
same,
the buffet.
yeah.
That
So
has a whole new meaning now. Like, I don't need a sneeze guard. I don't need to eat shit. Now they're eating just in their rooms and stuff.
yeah, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
just kind of like, hopefully, I don't know. You said that it recently got extended. They're supposed to be let go on the 19th, but now it's been pushed. So ain't no telling how much longer they're going to be
Yeah.
on that ship. So people start going crazy up in there.
Yeah, kind of little, like, literally cabin fever. Oh, my.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, like, I mean, I've been on what? I think I go on a cruise like every year for the past few years. So it's like, man, I get restless after like 3-4 days. So just imagining being on the cruise ship for weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
And not
Yeah.
being able to
Exactly.
go anywhere, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be
'Cause-
different if like all the stuff they normally it was all open to them. They could go to the casino and do all that stuff. Then that's a little bit more. It's more tolerable for them if they're able to do all the extra stuff you
Yeah.
normally would do. But when you have stuff all getting cut off and you have limitations to what areas you could go to, how long you could be outside,
Right.
and all that,
Mhm.
it just makes people start getting in that mindset where they're ready to snap.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that could make it actually worse is there are cruise ships that have no coronavirus cases on them.
Hmm.
What's the one? Here, let's see. I'm on Reuters. Thailand refuses entry to cruise ship with no corona cases,
Yeah.
and this is the cruise line is Holland America's cruise ship.
Yeah, I heard about
Okay,
that.
Holland America's. The ship is MS Westerdam. Like they are, basically the passengers aren't being allowed to disembark. And
Mm.
one of the really crazy things is this ship was supposed to disembark in Bangkok on February 13th. So logically, they'd have a couple extra days of food, but at what point, if they're not being allowed off this ship with no confirmed cases, are these people going to run out of resources?
Right. Here's the article here.
Exactly.
The cruise ship denied by multiple ports finally finds a place to disembark. Oh, that only took, however, but this was as of today, the 10th. Oh, man, I don't want to go to Antigua. Okay. So, Holland vessel MS Westerdam may finally have caught a break after being turned away from ports in the Philippines and Japan in light of the concerns surrounding the possible spread of new coronavirus, which have caused other cruise ships in the region to be quarantined. It reportedly confirmed to Fox News the Westerdam will be permitted to dock at the Lam Chang Chabang in Thailand on February 13th, and its presumably vexed passengers and crew can finally be allowed to disembark. It was originally scheduled to finish out its itinerary on the 14th by docking in Yokohama, but was left high and dry when Japan decided to deny the ship entry at all its Japanese ports. Hull was left looking for ways to patch up the plan and identify a cruise port in the region where passengers who were then stuck at sea could disembark. What a freaking mess.
Dude, that's good because I mean, like I know for a fact that I've had a lot of DJ buddies that worked cruise lines, and they don't keep extra stuff. I mean, these are the people that are dumping their trash in the garbage to save space.
Right.
Or yeah, dumping their garbage in the ocean. I think I just said trash in the garbage. I apologize.
Okay.
But yeah, it's they only keep X amount of stuff on board because if you it's like driving a car with miles per gallon. This is just like I don't know whatever distance for the ocean, but X amount of weight, it just takes more effort to move it. So they don't carry 2-3 weeks of extra food.
That's crazy.
That would make me not want to do a cruise ever again. Like that, just like going through that experience, I'd be like, no, I'm cool.
Like I'd
Not
go.
me.
Good.
I'd go. Like like I'm like whatever. I find like airliners to be dirtier. Like like, don't
Yeah,
like,
yeah, we're talking about, like, and that's the easiest way. Like you're in that closed space,
people,
and I've been on a few flights where people are coughing up lungs and stuff. I'm like,
ugh.
man, I come home, and I'll be fine getting off the plane, come home, and I'll be sick as a dog the next day. Like, what the heck?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I just
it happens.
I don't know. I'd be okay with a cruise like that. I'm still okay with it, even
If it's an Alaskan cruise, I'll do it. I'll do an Alaskan cruise.
Yeah, I wanted to do like one of those continentals.
I did an Alaska cruise 2 years ago.
How was it?
How was it,
Yeah,
Jinx?
it's fun. I had a lot of fun. Yeah, it was nice.
Cool. Yeah, I keep hearing about. I want to I'll give an Alaskan cruise a try.
I'll have to send y'all some the video I did of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Yeah, I've been to like the Caribbean and stuff like that, but I've never been anywhere else. I'm like, I want to do the one to go across the ocean, like from here to like England or some shit. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Transcontinental cruise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all for
Okay.
it. Get me on the Queen
Yeah.
Mary. Fuck yeah.
I want to go on what Viking cruise line has one where they just go up
Oh.
and around fjords and whatnot. So
Yeah.
I think that would be fun.
Oh yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I'd like to do one of those though. That's my goal. I want to do that when I have an extra like 5-6 grand, however
And
much money it is.
Alaska's pretty cool, but you won't catch a tan on it.
Did you see any whales? Did you wave any whales?
Man, I ain't see any whales or none of that stuff when no, that's a lie. When I was on the cruise ship, I didn't, but we did an excursion where we did whale watching.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Nice.
I almost choked my mom out.
What? What?
Oh my.
No, man, like what was it? An orca or whatever? No, it was the humpback whale, right? It was
Right.
right by our boat.
Mm-hmm.
She had one camera, I had the other camera. I was doing the pictures because the lens is too big for my mom to stabilize it. She had the video camera.
Mm-hmm.
So the whale comes. I'm like, "Are you videoing this?" She's like, "No." I'm like,
Oh, really?
I'm like, so why? So I spent $250 for you to go on this excursion for you just to not do this.
Wow.
We're making content, Mom. Get on your
Yeah. Come on now.
I did not talk to my mom for like the rest of the day. I promise you.
Wow.
LB chokes his mother out, but look at that whale.
Yeah.
Why didn't she video it?
Man, look, I don't want to turn this into a talk about my mom session, but man, you're a mom. You know how y'all moms do.
Like, what the hell would I be doing? You're not taking video of a whale.
You look.
Yeah, I definitely would be recording,
What was
getting
she
that footage of
doing?
well.
What was she doing instead of like recording the whale?
Looking at the whale.
Like she sees a whale every day or something. Like, no, you need to re-record that.
Right.
There's a lot of people that lock up when they see him because they don't actually realize how freaking
How big they are. Yeah, them
They
things
are
huge.
huge.
Yeah.
like your boat looks tiny compared to.
Yep.
I don't know how big your excursion boat was there, LB, but
Man,
they generally ain't that big.
it was a trap house boat.
He set a trap.
Man.
We're on the flat bottom, got cardboard walls.
Oh man.
Man.
How the hell you have cockroaches in the ocean?
Yeah.
Exactly, man.
Got the trap house boat.
Your mom, man. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Look,
Oh,
don't co-sign her mom.
Yeah.
Like I said, you know how y'all moms do.
hey, man. Whatever.
When y'all
Sometimes
have
you just
those-
gotta
Nah,
stare
my
at
mom
the
would have
ocean.
been. My mom would have been getting the footage. She would have been all for it.
Your mom would have jumped on the whale.
She would have been
and
getting
rode the
on me.
whale.
Yeah, she would have been getting on me if I was. You hurry up, take the pictures. Yeah, she would have
Your
been on
mom would
me.
have jumped
No,
on the back
no,
of the
that-
whale,
Yeah.
and she
You
would have
know-
ridden the whale across the
Yeah.
ocean.
No, you know what you just said as far as get the camera, take the pictures? That's exactly
Yeah.
what my mom said to me.
What the?
Like not word for word, but she's like, "Are you taking pictures?"
Like, are you recording? Like, what the?
Right.
And you're
She's like,
like,
don't
Man.
worry about what I'm doing. Just make sure you taking pictures.
This why me and my mom be going at it on vacation, man. Things like
Uh,
that.
See,
oh,
and speaking, I don't know when I'm gonna be able to go to Dracula's castle. Like, I'm so disappointed right now with all what's
mm-hmm.
going on.
Yeah,
I I'm gonna have to give it a good year or so before I'm like, all right, is it cool to go now?
right.
You know, like I'm gonna have to chill for a minute, and it's just sad because I had it all mapped out and everything, ready to get out there and go see Dracula's castle.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine that's supposed to be leaving out of Houston. Yeah, they're leaving out of Houston to go on a cruise or whatever in March. And I'm like, I don't
Galveston.
know. Huh?
Right out there at Galveston.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I told her, I asked her just recently, I'm like, so is everything still okay for that trip? She's like, I don't really know right now. Because she's supposed to be going with like all her family. So it's like, her husband, the kids, grandparents, everybody. I'm like, I don't know. I'd be,
Hmm
just out of safety, I'd be watching this closely, you know.
hmm
Because if anything, they're going to be locking down some of the cruise liners. I think they're going to Mexico or something on this one. And I
hmm
said, well, maybe that won't be affected, but it just depends on what they're going to be doing to kind of like offset some of the cruises that are not going to be happening. Because if this does continue to spread, I don't know what kind of restrictions are going to be put out there. It's crazy, man. What a mess. Imagine that being stuck on a fucking boat because somebody's like, well, I got a cough. I would be like,
All right,
oh.
people are gonna be getting rowdy. They're gonna start a fight club on that cruise ship
I'd
in
be
a
like,
minute.
man overboard. I'm like, oh, we don't have
Yeah.
If
Corona.
if we can't gabble, what we gonna gabble some way somehow. They're gonna be having down there in the, what do you call it, the boiler room or whatever, just having illegal fighting.
Oh, you're gonna pull the Titanic and have like the dance down in the boiler room, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Can you see this picture I'm sharing?
Oh, hold
I
on.
can see like the
Oh,
tail of it. I can see the
E-
Hold on
tail of the
one
whale.
second here.
exactly.
That
Yes.
was it.
Oh my
That's all I
god.
could get.
Oh
Oh,
man.
dang.
Oh man.
$250 and you didn't get a full whale tail.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. It looks pretty
But you
when you
got
do that.
memories.
Huh?
You got memories.
No, I mean I saw other whales, but like they weren't that close. Like this was
Right.
really like right next to the boat,
That's cool.
like within 5 feet.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
And
You're,
she's like, "Nah, I ain't videoing."
you should just send that to her randomly and be like, remember?
I think I'm gonna add that to my own itinerary when we go to Cali next month. Do some whale watching.
I think that whale watching stuff's cool. I'm like, it's really neat.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's one thing I was like, I never really saw until I went to California was whales. Like, I mean, like in that way, They were closer. I was like, oh, God, they actually come a lot closer to shore than I thought.
Yeah.
hmm
I had no idea. I was like, this is some fuck shit.
Yeah.
They're beautiful creatures. I mean, they're real beautiful. Just huge, larger than life.
The other thing was seeing seals, sea lions and
Yeah.
shit. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And they're
A
just
lot,
massive.
like some of them piers, they be posted up over there
They're
in
dicks.
certain areas.
Like, they're just like seagulls. They're just fat seagulls.
Yeah, they sleep. They sleep. They just like, let us sleep. Leave us alone.
And then they bitch at each other. I'm like, this is why we can't have nice things. Seals.
You know what I would
I
love
thought
to
you were
see
talking about
up
the kids again.
close?
Oh, the same
Oh
thing.
wow. What I would love to see up close and personal would be the manatees. I would love to like
Oh,
just
I got to see.
swim with a
Apparently, they're
manatee.
on their back now.
I
Yeah, yeah.
without saying much, when I lived I grew up obviously in Florida, but in Miami, and we used to go to the Keys a lot, and I got to swim some manatees before, and they're just like the sweetest things. Like, you're not supposed to
Yeah,
swim with them,
they're just like
whatever.
yeah.
They're
I've watched
sweethearts.
I watch videos. They'll come up to you and just
They nudge you. They nudge you,
yeah,
and they're like
yeah,
dogs. They're like fucking sea dogs. That's all they are.
yeah,
And they're just round, rotund, and they just rotate. Like
yeah.
they're just I don't know. They're really sweet though, because they used to come through the canalways and they'd be like, because a lot of the people, like, because they're endangered and stuff, you're not supposed to fuck with them. They're not supposed to do a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things, whatever. But they would come up and down the canalways, and some of the neighbors would feed them fresh water, out of their
Mm-hmm.
hoses and stuff, or give them cabbage, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because it would be a rough season or whatever, and especially with the red tide crap that's gone through there sometimes.
Yeah.
People were really trying to take care of the manatees as much as they could because they were hungry, they were starving, and they weren't going anywhere because the waters weren't warm enough in some of those areas. Like, it's a long story. But anyway, they're really beautiful. You know, they're just
Mm-hmm.
giant, round dogs. And they're
Yeah,
really sweet.
they don't no kind of aggressiveness.
No.
Like
They'll lean
they
on
there's
you. That's it.
yeah, that's it. Like
Lean on you.
there should be no reason why you get mad at a sea man or a manatee.
Sea
There should be
cow.
no reason. Sea cow. Yeah, exactly.
Like,
There should
really.
be no reason.
And you always get those assholes that are and there's a lot of, you see a lot of warning signs for people about
Yeah, I've
speeding.
seen like the when I was younger, seeing like documentaries how their backs get torn
Yeah,
up
you see it a
by their
lot.
blades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad too, because they're just
Hmm.
slow movers. They're not gonna
Hmm.
do anything. They're, whatever.
Yeah, they're not like hippos.
Dude, fuck
Oh yeah,
hippos,
man! I remember when I first see, growing up, you see a hippo, you're like, oh no, them things are savages. They do not play.
No, at
They
all.
do not play.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize how aggressive those assholes were until I
Yeah.
saw them going after boats. I was like, what?
I was watching a documentary. They had like a dummy on a little boat, and they pushed it out there towards the hippos, and they tore that thing apart. I'm like, whoa, because
Dude,
they
Yeah.
could snap a crocodile in half. Like they're no joke.
They
man.
don't play.
Just as fast underwater as they are on land, which is the
Yeah.
really like physics. This shit doesn't add up. Creepy thing about it.
It is. They're just.
Yeah.
I did not expect them to be that mean. I was like, what
Oh.
the fuck? And they come kind of like Jaws, like the Jaws movie. You see the water moving,
Mhm.
and then it's just like this rippling tide of mass.
And all the
Mhm.
time is
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
They're all-
worst thing.
Well, you know what it
Right.
is because a lot of times we see they were seeing them as young hippos or baby hippos
No,
or
it's
whatever.
the game, the hungry
Yeah.
hippo game.
And then you sit there and watch them in a wild, like, "Duh, these are some thugs out here. They do not play, man."
They're mean.
I don't understand. It was smiling on the box I had as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
Honestly, that was the
Mhm.
greatest childhood deception for me, was that hippos were sweet.
Oh yeah.
Holy
Exactly.
shit. Yeah. Unless they're
Baby hippos, okay, but not adult hippos, nah. Unless they're in captivity or
because even
something.
their
But
name sounds fucking harmless. You're like, it's a hippo.
yeah, what is a hippo? What is a hippo gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you
Take your hip
I
out.
think the only time it sounds really scary is when you actually take it all the way out into a hippopotamus.
There, yeah. That sounds
Yeah.
scarier. But like
Yeah.
hippo, like you think like Fantasia with the dancing fucking hippos and the two shit.
Exactly, the ballerina hippos.
And then you get these assholes in the fucking water and they're like, fuck your family. And they just go at you. And you're like, that's not right.
Well, a lot of names are deceiving, like a honey badger. You think like a honey badger, like,
yeah.
oh yeah, honey. I'm like, them things are vicious, man.
Honey badger-
Honey badger, they'll go after. Honey badgers don't care. They'll go after anybody. They do not care
The
how big you
snakes?
are.
I was watching with that dude that was going, honey badger don't give a fuck. I'm like, yeah, that honey badger doesn't give a fuck. Like, I'd never seen that before. I was like, okay, I've obviously missed it.
They're probably talking about Tyrann Matthew. Yeah, yeah. I'm so mad we gave up on him. Anyway, yeah, he was bad at LSU. He just won the Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs. But yeah, they came out with that whole honey badger don't care thing when he
Yeah.
was at LSU.
Oh my god, man. How did we
Honey
get on
badger is the one that go after cobras.
They go after whatever, man.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they
I
do
think
not
either the
care.
honey badger or a relative that they'll go after frickin' cobras, king cobras,
The
shit.
Yeah.
fuck? And then they live through it? No.
Yeah,
Nature's messed up.
just like like in their
How
bad.
did we get here? It's a good question, Squirrel.
I was thinking this. I'm like, how did we get? I don't know.
We started
Okay.
off talking about the Alaskan vacation
That's
or the
it.
cruise with the
Predators.
whales,
There you
and
go.
it
See, Rich
jumped
brought
from
us back.
that to.
My bad.
Well,
No, it's
uh,
cool. Hey,
No,
it's all
I was
good.
just like, how?
that was a fun tangent after the heavy subject matter tonight.
Yeah, dude. Sorry.
Did-
Hey, no,
Did
it's
I
all
even
good.
talk about the baby locusts in Africa yet?
No, well, I mean we touched on it, but we didn't really like
Okay.
Yeah, we,
talk
Yeah,
about it.
like we
there's-
talked about it a couple. Is this the locust invasion thing in Africa with the?
Yeah, it's baby locusts, and that's their name, apparently. In East Africa, so it's South Somalia, and apparently they're their breeding cycle. I found this AP and VR and Reuters, but I'm pretty sure AP had it. But what it is the rain has driven their reproduction cycle into such a high level that by the time this current crop of locusts actually like their progeny hatch, we're looking at a 20-fold increase. And what they're saying is the reason that they can't do anything about these baby locusts, but really how bad that but it's because they're breeding in a region that's held by Al Qaeda linked Al Shabaab. So they can't go in there and do aerial spraying to try and get it under control because they're going to get shot out of their freaking air if they try and do that.
Holy
Wow.
shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So more news or more information from the End is Nigh desk.
Mm.
My God, man. Like,
I'm really surprised people aren't preaching the apocalypse at this point. Like,
yeah.
everything I've seen, we've had volcanoes, almost had World
Yeah,
War
earthquakes,
III.
volcanoes, strange weather.
We have a deadly plague. We have a plague of locusts in Africa.
There
Mm-hmm.
was I grabbed well, I always find random shit, but there was, like, as far as like really interesting little random crap that I find, there was this there's a ghost tour that's out of Spring, Texas, and they got supposedly, one of their guests that was on one of the tours was taking photographs as usual, and I've seen this weird bizarre shit before, but I thought it was interesting just because, hey, it's random. But they were taking photographs, and then they got a pretty interesting image on one of the photographs, and I was actually kind of impressed with it because, you had an individual also in the lens. This is on the actual ghost tour that they run. It's like through the old town section of their city where they go to all the historical sites at night. I've been on like 2 or 3 ghost walks. Like, one was in Key West. I went to one in Tucson. I went to, I think the other one, I want to say I did Phoenix.
See, my mom would have loved you because she really was into that.
I'll tell you what, man. We used to run a ghost hunting group, but like I go on those
Yeah,
walks. I'm like, let's see what bullshit I'm
yeah.
willing to peddle. The best one I went to was Key West, though. Like, that was the
Man,
best one I went on. It was a lot of fun, and there's a lot of great stories out of there. Like, like the haunted doll. I went and saw the haunted doll Robert and shit at the museum.
Oh
I'm here,
yeah. I heard about that.
I'm here thinking about this video you sent me, some ghost hunting with this old white lady. I'm sitting here like watching this. I'm like, why did she send me this?
Which one?
I don't. It was at a castle in England somewhere. It was an old white lady, and she
Dude.
was telling the story.
Oh, because she was full of shit, and that's why it was funny.
Yeah.
Because the ghost scared the shit out of her or whatever, supposedly, and she lost her mind. And I was like, this is fantastic. Because this is such bullshit. It was so great. I was like, this is crap. Let me show you the photo, though, before I get off track completely. But yeah, I just saw it pop up on my feed a couple days ago, and I was like, that's pretty cool. I mean, even if, for the sake of argument, I don't know, I would have to, it's one of those things I would have to be there to be like, oh yeah, sure. But it's always cool to see a ghost photo, even if it's
Yeah.
a little trash.
I saw that one earlier today. It's the what they say it was.
Civil War.
Yeah,
Confederate.
Civil War.
So
Oh wow.
there's a soldier, and then there's a close-up on it. And I was
Okay.
like, not bad. Because I'll be honest with you,
Yeah.
one of the big things I want to do is I want to go camp out at Gettysburg. That's my goal.
Mm-hmm.
And go hunting there. And because like that's one of the best places to go. I'm all about that shit. I'll go walking around at fucking 3 o'clock in the morning, hopefully not getting shot. But it would be fun. So I want to do the camp out at
See, how is it that you could do these ghost walks, but you can't stay to watch or go play a Silent Hill game? I don't get that.
Because I can fucking run in real life, Like the fucking game.
It's the camera angles, Rich. It's the camera angles.
It's the camera angles. You're like from above, and then if you're in the first person, you turn, you got this shit. Man, I would hear that or sense it in real life. You can't sense shit in those games, man. Like, if that Silent Hill stuff happened in real life, I'd be done.
You're like, nope.
So yeah,
Oh man.
from the old town found Spring Ghost Walk at their Twitter page at OTS.
Yeah,
Ghost Walk.
that's a pretty good capture. If that's legit, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I forgot to like it. How dare I? But they're around Houston area, but it's Spring, Texas. But anyway, I thought it was very cool. I was like, well, that's a mental note for the future, because I love that Ghost Walk. So
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, my mom was looking at so she wanted to go to England for one because they had this tour thing. I forgot where it was at. I don't know if it was a
Tower
castle or
London.
something.
Ooh.
Yeah, she was looking at that. She was like, "Son, we're gonna go." And I was just like, "Yes, mom."
Hell yeah, dude. I'd
yeah,
go.
yeah.
I'd be like, let's go find some ghosts. Let's go.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
another article. I retweeted it earlier because I thought it was very cool, and it was from Byron, the Observer. Thanks, Byron. Byron. Sorry, Bryan. My bad. My God.
Man, you just messing up with names
I
today.
know, it's habit.
Hey, there can only be one.
Exactly. But Bryan
Because
the
I'm
Observer
here.
posted it, and I thought it was very cool because, like, I like dinosaurs. So,
Oh, you're talking about that new T-Rex.
yeah, well, it's a
Bird.
new raptor.
Rex.
There it is.
Oh yeah.
So they just discovered a new species in Alberta, the Reaper of Death. I was like, badass.
Yeah,
So
that's a cool name.
the was made
What's
available.
the scientific name for it? Because I know it's gonna be something crazy. Or have they even came up with one yet?
Let's take a look.
It's there in the article.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
looking.
it's a Tyrannosaur.
All right, it says
That-
whatever the fuck. Yeah, this word.
Just call it Thanosaurus. There you go.
Yeah, Thanos. Yeah, we'll just say that. It predates the T-Rex by about 12 million years. It's the oldest known Tyrannosaurus discovered in. Oh, it is a Tyrannosaurus. All right, you were right, Brian. You're better than me. Tyrannosaurus discovered in Canada. But we're learning more about the ecosystem of this older period of time when dinosaurs roamed southern Alberta. Because, when I think of Alberta, I think dinosaurs. There's a lot of dinosaurs. There's like raptors in
Toronto.
Okay, so I'm 90% sure the name is Thanatothoricites. Just trying to break it down.
Sounds like a Greek name, doesn't it?
Oh, they always use Greek, don't they?
So, I guess. I mean, what is this?
I can't remember what the basis.
I'd be curious to know what the fuck. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, let's take a shot.
I wonder. Motherfucker. I don't know. I'm gonna look it up here in a second. Dude, motherfucker. Okay. Let me stop sharing in a second so I can move around shit. Okay. Let's see.
So Canada now is known for a cool T-Rex.
Yeah, I
Brett
guess
the Hip.
they discovered a T-Rex previous to that. In the article, it goes on to say that too, that they had actually. They don't believe that this new Tyrannosaur is a direct relationship to the T-Rex, but it has its own evolutionary offshoot. It seems to have more in common with another Tyrannosaurus that they found in Alberta called I can't fucking pronounce any of these words.
So a cooler version of T-Rex.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. It's just Greek for Reaper of Death.
Oh.
Okay.
Hey, here's the fun. Here's
name.
the fun part. There's a second section to its name.
Uh-oh.
Really?
So, Thanatothoricites degrutorum. Degrutorum.
There you go.
Wow.
So they're known for a cooler version of the T-Rex, the Toronto Raptors, Brett the Hitman Hart, and what else are they known for?
I love their artistic renditions of these things. They're
Right?
like, look, it might be orange.
There's no feathers on that thing.
They got a stripy tail. We're assuming, what if these things were like neon green? Or neon
That'd
pink?
be
And they're
like glowing. They were glow in the dark. That dinosaurs. That'd be pretty cool.
yeah, they were glow in the dark,
Ancestors of the flamingo.
and they were aquatic or something. They're like, and they also went into the ocean. They were once fish and all this bullshit. It has gills. You watch. It's gonna be something all kinds of fucked. We assume a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool, though. I thought it was really neat. But it was the first Tyrannosaurus species to be identified in Canada in 50 years. So,
That's what's up.
it's from the University of Calgary. So shout out to Bryan the Observer for the article reference. Because I thought this was really cool. I was like, ooh, more dinosaurs.
Yeah, I always wondered what kind of dinosaurs were out here in Arizona. And when I took the girls to the Natural History Museum, like a while back, they have an
Right.
area where they have the dinosaurs that roamed out here. It was pretty cool.
Which one did
Pretty
you guys
cool.
go to?
The one in Mesa.
Take them to the one in the Natural History Museum down in Tucson.
Oh, okay. I
It's
didn't know there was one. I didn't know there was one down there.
yeah, they
I know
have
the observatory out there, but I
yes.
didn't know the Natural History Museum.
Yeah, they have like another like it's like a Southwest one, but they have dinosaur stuff in there too.
Oh,
It's
okay.
bigger too. I mean, I would say it's a little bit more impressive than the Mesa one. You know, the Mesa
Yeah.
one has the animatronics in that bitch, and I enjoy
Yeah,
them
yeah. When you first go
all
in,
the
they had
time.
that huge mammoth
Yeah,
skeleton right when you go in. And you're like, or that fossil, or you go in, and it's like, man, that thing is huge.
I liked taking the beef when he was young to that because he didn't know about the
Mm.
animatronics, so I just kept shoving him in front of me.
Duh. Like here.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh look at that, and he just I got him screaming.
Run,
I'm like,
boy, run!
they're out to get you.
Mhm.
That boy didn't have any meat on him when he was young, so
They're
well,
talking about, I don't know if they're still going to do it or not, but they're talking about building one downtown, like this huge one, a natural history museum, but I don't know.
oh, they should. It's long
But
overdue.
if you there's so much construction going on downtown anyway. I don't know. They're getting ready for the Super Bowl because they'll be out here back
Yeah.
in 2023. So
Yeah,
I'm
like
kind
the
of jealous. I mean, I never had. I don't. Growing up here in Oklahoma, like I'm kind of in the Midwest, and that creationism shit took over. And
shot. Do you have like the Noah's Ark thing out there? Have you ever heard
oh,
of
I
it?
no,
heard that museum. Or where did they build that big old life size replica of it?
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
that
I heard
whole
about that.
the theme park, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was fake, and then it was real, and then I was like, I have to go now. Like I just want to go because I want to meet Adam
Mhm.
and Eve.
Okay, yeah, there aren't any museums in Oklahoma that have dinosaurs.
Oh,
Trippy.
that's just not right. You have to
So lo-
have at least one. You know what I mean?
Like I
Like
can
yeah.
remember being a kid and they had a dinosaur exhibit at the zoo, but that was 80s.
God, man. Oklahoma
Do they
just I don't want
do
them.
they have any like major theme parks out there?
We have Frontier City, which is a division of Six Flags, but
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I think Phoenix and probably like maybe a couple over. We're like what the fifth largest city, but no major theme park out here.
I'll never. The only thing that they have out there that I loved is out of Africa, which is
Yeah,
it's like a tiger. It's a rescue
yeah. There's a
tiger
whole
breeding.
safari.
Yeah,
Yeah, they moved it. I don't. Were you
yeah.
still out here when they moved it to
Camp Verde.
Prescott? Yeah, Camp
Yeah,
Verde. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Like we
Yeah.
used to go all the time. It was really cool because you got very close to the tigers and
The
stuff would
first
pop
time
up
I
there and
went
shit.
was we went on a field trip like in fourth grade or something when it was still out there near Fountain Hills or Fort McDowell or whatever.
Yeah.
hmm
When it was still out there, that was the first time I
Yes.
went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was closer, and
Yeah.
like we would just
Yeah.
go. I take the beef for his birthday every year,
Mhm.
and it was always a little bit of entertaining watching him get peed on by a tiger. I was like, yes,
Oh.
yeah. I was like, yeah, go to the front row, see how that works out. But
You know what though?
yeah,
Like the Wildlife World Zoo out there by Luke Air Force Base,
mm,
that has grown a lot.
has
Like
it?
it's huge now. They got a safari park in there now. They got like they added like all these other different areas and they got a restaurant in there.
See,
So
that's
like
about time.
it's huge now.
It's a cool little zoo, all
Yeah.
whatever they want to call it. But it's
Mhm.
I like it. Like I thought it was very. We went there a couple of times, and it wasn't like huge, but it was just
Mhm.
right. It was just the right amount of time. Like,
Mhm.
but yeah, Arizona really doesn't have shit for theme parks at all.
You know what? If I were to show you the list of theme parks that's been proposed since the 80s,
And it
it
keeps
is a
getting turned down, right?
ridiculous. The latest one was out in Eloy. I mean, no, I'm sorry, out at Casa Grande, and it was supposed to be called Dreamport Villages. They're still like undecided if it's going to happen or not, but it's supposed to be this $4 billion
Whoa.
theme park that was supposed to be built out there, and it was proposed back in 2017. Here it is, 2020. And the developers are like, yeah, it's still going to happen. We just need to get the financing. That's what I don't get. Like, if you're going to come out here with
Right.
a proposal, have the money.
Right.
Have the money.
There's a
Or
lot
make
of
sure
that.
you have your investors locked up.
See, there was
You
another
know,
one they were trying to propose up in Williams, right? They were going to have this
there
theme
was one
park.
in Williams.
Yep.
Well, the ones that happened were proposed was before the recession hit,
Right.
and then once that happened, they were like,
Boom.
nope.
Gone. Yep.
Because there was one supposed to be in Eloy, a Decades Music theme park. There was one supposed to be in the West Phoenix called the Zones.
Yep.
One in Florence called Coyote Canyon.
Oh, I remember
And one
hearing
you went,
about
yeah.
that.
So
Yeah.
they had like all these ideas. Then the recession hit, so everybody was like, "Nah, I'm cool."
And it sucks because, I mean, there's plenty of frickin' space. And it's
Yeah.
useless, unused space.
hmm
So it doesn't make any sense to me why they
Well,
haven't.
people say, "Well, why build a theme park out here when California is just,
Oh, fuck
you go to,
California,
yeah."
man.
Not everybody want to go to California to go to a theme park.
I ain't gonna go to. I'll go to fucking Florida before I'll go to fucking California.
And then
Yeah, I
they'll
gotta.
say, then they say, "Oh, well, it's the heat out here."
Oh,
I'm like, they got theme parks all over
Bullshit.
Florida. I don't want to hear that.
it's because
They,
somebody in that state can't fill
hmm
their pockets. That's why
Yeah,
it
they're not
doesn't
hmm
getting their
happen.
cut.
Mm-hmm.
yep.
Yep.
I
But
mean,
besides, I mean, they are building like crazy out here.
Yeah.
Like if you go to downtown, like it looks totally different now.
Yeah. I saw one of my friends was doing a face chat with me, and I saw a lot of the
Mm,
areas. Like, where the fuck are you? You know.
yeah,
But like the area, it's just Arizona's behind. It's so weird. And it's not even like it seems like California in a lot of places there now.
hmm
Especially like when you
yeah.
go out to Movie
They're
Creek and stuff.
it shot up to a point now where Arizona's like one of the fastest growing city. Well, Phoenix is one of the fastest growing cities lately, especially when it comes to people moving here now
Mm-hmm.
because they're building so much now. And they're building like downtown. They want downtown to be like a go-to destination now. So they're building all these lofts. They're throwing up all these towers downtown where people are, can live downtown. So they're building
Huh.
these million dollar condos and all this other stuff downtown.
Well,
I
people
want
can
to make
take.
sure they want to make sure they want to make sure they're straight before the Super Bowl comes out
They
here.
want to make their money. That's
Yeah,
all.
exactly.
It's like I hate it. I hate that because they did the same thing in Atlanta, like for their Olympics, right? Like they do all
Yeah.
this work, make everything all pretty, and then it just seems like it was money wasted,
Yeah.
after the fact, and it's just bullshit. It just sucks because a lot of this stuff should have been done years ago, because
Yeah, that's true.
it's just. I'm glad they're doing something, but it's still just sad that it takes like the whole idea of, well, we have an opportunity to make more money, and all of a sudden you get investors wanting to bring money in, but it's all for the dumbest shit,
hmm
because you don't know where that's going to be in about 5 or 10 years. But you have so many people coming in from California too, so.
Speaking of Atlanta, I want to go to that aquarium.
Oh, okay.
I heard. I think that's the largest aquarium in the country, isn't it?
LB, if he's there, he might have gotten snacks. LB,
I'm here.
there he is. Hey,
Uh,
Atlanta, have you been to the Atlanta Aquarium?
No.
No.
oh.
Okay. I have.
But
I
yeah,
have
I
not.
heard it's the biggest one in the country because they got whales and stuff in there. I think.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Man, I've been to Atlanta probably 100 times, and there's so many things I haven't done in Atlanta.
Yeah. I can't live out there.
Yeah, man, it's the
Mm-mm.
traffic is the worst, the absolute worst.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I can't live out there. We'll go with traffic. Yep. We'll go
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, exactly.
That fucking.
I'm helping you out, bro.
We'll go. We'll go. We'll go with that. But no.
We all know the
Yep.
truth.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they got that. Yeah, their aquarium is I believe it's the biggest in the country. The one out there in Atlanta. But yeah, that thing is huge. What they got at that aquarium.
I've never been to that aquarium. I've been random places and shit, like to aquariums. Like I went to Marine Land in Canada. I was like, what the fuck?
hmm
And then we went to an aquarium there in, I think it was in Rochester, New York. And that was okay, I guess. They had penguins. I was excited about the fucking penguins. But like
hmm
that's like it, man. Like they didn't. Miami Sea Aquarium. I grew up with that, so we got to see whales a lot, and that was always cool. But
hmm
never. I went to SeaWorld once ever, and I'm still not on board about taking my kids to SeaWorld. Like I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah.
Not a fan of it.
Oh man, y'all let that documentary fool y'all.
Man, I can't help it, man.
Man,
I just feel
there were
bad.
so many lies in that documentary.
I know, but it's still just the guilt of seeing whales in captivity with their
Oh,
little dorsal fin down and shit.
all right. So I guess
Yeah, that and after watching Free Willy and Free Willy 2.
so I guess y'all not having dairy products or anything.
Oh,
I already told you I can't.
Oh yeah, you said you can't.
I eat ice
So,
cream, man. I can't have it all the fucking time, but I love ice cream.
yeah, I know. Well, you got to give it up now.
I'm not gonna give up shit. Not gonna give up shit.
Think about the stolen cow, stolen baby cows. Think about them.
Oh god.
Hey, that
But
calf screw ice cream might
One thing that is messed up. Did you ever see those videos of those fur camps in
Yeah.
China?
Yeah.
Man, I was like, boy.
Man, just when and it's just like
Whew.
the videos and the stuff they do to dolphins, right, in Japan.
Hmm.
Oh my
Yeah,
god. I was like,
and then like
whoa.
with the whales, like all the whale hunting, I'm like, really? Like, come on.
See, like, I was
That's
just talking to Squirrel yesterday about this shit. Like, when I was growing up, there wasn't a whole lot of shit that I would get on board with,
hmm
but it was always for me, it was about conservation of the ocean. It was always
yeah.
that was a big one. Like, for dolphins, whales, manatees, stingrays, even the stingrays who are assholes, like, all of them, there should be some type of, I would go and clean beaches and all this other shit.
hmm
And that was one thing I was involved in. And but it's just this cruelty to what we've done to the ocean that pisses me off. Like, I'm just
Oh
like,
yeah.
like when the Gulf oil spill happened, I was fucking devastated. And
hmm
I wrote BP so many love letters. I was like, you pieces of shit. And
hmm
it just what they had in our government too. I was like, fuck you too, and this is why.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but this just the disrespect to the oceans alone, like that's the reason why I have a hard time with like water park type shit like that. Where I'm like,
hmm
I kind of have that. I really am torn about it. Whereas like I understand some are born in captivity while others are not.
hmm
And it's still putting a very large animal into a small space that always bothers me. So
I
it's
think like oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, but that's my only thing. Like,
Yeah.
I know a lot of shit's done for conservation, so
Yeah, I think like SeaWorld, what they're trying to do now is make up. They're adding like a lot more rides to their parks now. Like I just recently was on because I was debating. I was like, especially my youngest with Ariana been like, no, I'm not going because she don't even like to go to the zoos anymore. Like she's really like all about wildlife. She's like, no, I ain't doing. She ain't gonna do
right.
SeaWorld. She's not. But yeah, I think what they're doing now, especially well, I know in California, they seem to be adding like a lot more rides and stuff, and kind of, I don't know if they're gonna. I know they're not gonna completely phase out the animals there, but there it seems to be kind of they're making it more about the rides
Yeah,
too.
like a
So
Six
they're adding,
Flags.
yeah, they're adding more coasters and all that um, to it. But in the end, we said Six Flags, so it'll be like my 20th time going
Like
to Six Flags.
we have a
It's been a
six.
minute. I mean, I know they just added some more rides, so it seems like every time I go, there's new rides, so it ain't like the same old
Right.
stuff. So that's the cool thing about going to Six Flags.
Yeah, I got to go all the way down to Dallas to even hit a decent theme park. I mean, Frontier City ain't
Wow.
that big. Like,
Damn, you
you
have to
can
go
walk around
California.
it in an hour.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
like let's see. I went to one of the weird ones. I went to one of those Paramount parks. They have in
Oh okay.
excuse me. I think it's in. I forgot where Carowinds is. Is it North Carolina?
Yeah, it's right on the border.
Yeah,
It's
it's like
right on the border of North
I
Carolina,
remember
South Carolina.
being a bit of a drive there, but it was really cool. Actually, I didn't expect it to be that fun, and it was. I was like,
Yeah, it reminded
this.
me of Six Flags.
Yes, yeah. It was
It
just
re-
like they had a
yeah,
summer fucking village and
yeah.
Hanna Barbera shit.
It was pretty cool. From Charlotte, because we were already in Charlotte, so getting there from Charlotte, it was like 20 minutes. It
Oh
didn't
yeah,
take long at all from Charlotte, but yeah, Carowinds. Yeah, that's the first thing I thought when we got there. I'm like, it's just like looks just like Six Flags. It's
yeah.
pretty cool.
It was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot more fun than I thought it was gonna be. I was like,
hmm
because I had never heard of a Paramount Park or whatever. I was like, what the
hmm
fuck? But it
They
was
got
actually
that,
really
and there's
fun.
like a King. Was it Hershey Island or Kings Island or something like that? I don't know. A Hershey
Yeah,
Park or something. That's part of
yeah,
it.
yep.
Yeah.
And like I'm okay with that. Like that was a surprise. But yeah, that like we've been planning to take kids to Disney eventually. Get our asses, but we're not going to fucking California for that. No, sir. We're going to the Disney World so I can go to Epcot. That's why.
Yeah,
And Animal
Disney.
Kingdom. Yeah.
One
Disneyland
day.
was the biggest ripoff ever.
Which one?
Yeah.
Disneyland out in California, because well, when I went back in '01, you had to buy an additional pass to go to the California Adventure, and that's where the more
hmm
adult stuff was at. So
Yeah, they have it where California Adventure. You have to get the park hopper passes or whatever.
yeah, and the worst thing is I'm stuck in Disneyland. I got to drive the little car, and the Matterhorn was shut down. I do remember we did a teacup. We had we got the 4 biggest guys in our group, and we spun that teacup around. And they all got sick, but there really wasn't a lot open the day I went. So I jumped on the monorail, which you can ride all the way around, and you want a little air conditioning. So I was able to see all this cool shit in the California Adventure, and I'm like, man, I got robbed because it was a band trip, so I had to pay for the damn thing. And it's like, man, y'all could have chosen a better spot to go to.
Yeah,
I heard that Star Wars Land is not doing too good right now.
Galaxy's Edge.
The Galaxy
Lies.
Edge, yeah.
LB's been to Galaxy's Edge several times.
It's a lie.
I'm not
By
going to judge it because
YouTubers.
I haven't been there yet. But that was just what some people were saying.
Yeah, there was a lot
But
of people like that were out for it to fail, and other people that were indifferent. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
it's okay. I honestly, the only thing I've been watching outside of reviews, I watched LB's review. I think I watched one other person's review of Galaxy's Edge. It was fine. It was just heavily overpriced bullshit. That's all. And then typical Disney. But the other thing I really liked though was the interaction, between the characters and guests, with the
hmm
kids and shit like that. I'm like, that's cute. But I don't know. I mean, I haven't been. I know that the only people that would be up for that would be me and the beef. Maybe maybe the middle squirrel. I don't know. He doesn't give a shit. He really doesn't. He likes Mickey Mouse. That's it for him. He's he loves Mickey. Fucking loves Mickey. But he doesn't give a fuck about Kylo Ren. He doesn't give a shit. It's very disappointing. At least
how could you?
anything. He's not that. I mean, he likes Star Wars to a point. He likes the classic Star Wars. All the new stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
I know they're getting ready to build a whole Marvel thing over at Disneyland for either coming
Yeah.
out this year or next year, one of the two.
Avengers Tower, like a whole Avengers thing.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous.
Is that in California?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure they'll build it at Disney World as well.
No, they can't because Universal Studios has the contract to the Marvel characters and stuff.
Oh.
Oh, that's right, because they have that Hulk ride and everything over there.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, yeah, the Islands of Adventure or whatever.
Yep. Disney just need to break bread and cut that check.
But they are building a Super Mario World park over there.
Yeah.
They are building that out there.
See, that the middle scroll would be up for.
Oh man, I would love for them to build that out, something like that
Is
out
it going to
here.
be a Nintendo theme park then?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're building it out there. Yep.
They're building a third Universal Studios theme park, and it's going to have Nintendo and some other stuff. I don't know
That's
what.
cool.
Yeah.
It looks real cool.
Yeah.
Now, do they already have a Nintendo Land overseas anywhere?
Yeah, in Japan. They just opened it up in Japan.
Oh,
Yep.
that's where I heard about it. Then I was like,
Yeah.
I know there was a park. I did, like Nintendo Park, and I was like, what is this?
It'll probably be closing down soon once people.
Shit. I know they have a Hello Kitty park, man. I'll go there.
That's it was crazy, that show on Netflix about the toys that made us. I was watching the episode on Hello Kitty, how that came about. It is crazy how popular that became.
Yeah.
And how the origin story of it is crazy.
Man, the more you know.
Exactly.
Now, is there anything else anybody had any stories on, or anything anybody wanted to share before we start wrapping it up?
Not really. I think I touched on everything I found.
Okay. And it was
The
just
only
kind of a
thing-
chill thing anyway. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah. No, the only thing is I just got done watching the Suns and Lakers. LeBron James needs to do something. He needs to give it up with that hair because
Oh, the
that thing,
balding.
yeah, it's just so odd. Like there's
Nah, the
no,
sweatband's gonna cover my bald cap, and it's like
yeah,
I'm like
like
the middle of his head by his ears and wrapped
yeah, and
around.
towards the back of his head. I'm like, bro, just go ahead. It's been a fun run. Just
How
go
old
ahead.
is he?
He's like our age. He's like
Yeah.
he's around 35, 36. No, he may be 30. He's like 36 or 37.
Okay.
One of the two. Yeah, he's yeah.
So he just needs to let go of the hair.
Just do it like Jordan. Jordan.
He's
Yeah,
30. Yeah, he's the same age as me. He's 35.
Oh,
Wow,
35.
he's younger than me.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't
Yeah,
know
he
he was
needs to.
that. I didn't know how old he was. I always thought he was a little younger than that.
You would think with all that money he'd be able to, make something happen with the hair, but
Oh, he's tried. He's tried.
it's just not working.
Yeah.
That's so
He's done.
sad.
He's done the spray. He's done the putting the hair into spots that he didn't have hair. He's done it all.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
It's
Just
just
need to
not
go bald.
working.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
so
just let it
sad.
go.
He's a sad little man. That's just sad.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Just
Yeah.
let it. Be proud of it. Just shave it off. Deal with it.
I mean, I wish I could relate, but I can't. I mean, my hair's still living a good life.
Right? 38, and I got everything I came in with. Just lost
Yeah.
a little color.
hmm
Calm Squirrel is probably just he's in the background being quiet right now. No, I'm kidding. He's like he started balding when he was in his 20s. So
Hey, man.
Oh man.
He's
Sometimes it's just hereditary. Like if
Yep,
you're like if
you
it's
got
your
it from his
dad
mom.
or your grandpa or something, or even sometimes the mom.
Yeah,
You
he got
know.
it from his mom's side. And he was like, "What the fuck?" And of course, his sisters all have like this long, long luscious hair and shit.
Mhm.
My best friend had a 10 head when he hit 16.
Oh
And I
wow.
like when I first met him when I was 21, like he was wearing a beanie in the middle of summer, and I'm like, dude, give it up. We all know you're have hair loss. I mean, like he had it where it was like long, and I'm like, dude, if you're losing hair, cut that shit short.
Right.
Mhm.
They can't tell, and once it's extremely like LeBron James obvious, just shave yourself
Mhm.
bald.
Right. I did. I talked Calm Squirrel into shaving his head, and he's like, I don't know if I'm going to do, if that's going to work out, blah, blah, blah. I might have a bumpy head. No, he's got like a Charlie Brown head and shit. So, like for Halloween, he dressed up as Charlie Brown.
Wow.
He just had to put that little curl. He just drew it on, a little curl on his forehead, and he looked
Well,
like
no,
Charlie Brown.
when it's time to let it go, just get swole, get bald, and go in the gym, get swole. That's how you that's how you counter it. Be
Oh, yeah.
bald and swole. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was like, well, that'll show you. Well, anyway, you guys, let's go ahead and start wrapping up. But Bryan, why don't you go ahead and tell people where they can find you, and I'll have Bryan's links to his channel and any projects or videos you have waiting to come out, I guess, this week.
All right, howdy, y'all. I am Bryan the Gravedigger. You can find me on Twitter at Be the Gravedigger, and you can look me up on YouTube at Bryan the Gravedigger. Just recently unified all that. This week, I was actually trying to upload, and I had to cancel an upload so I could jump in this stream. My computer's running slow. But basically, this week's going to be a tech week. I have an editing rig that was supposed to post tonight. I have the unboxing package opening of Squirrel shirt. I guess I can show that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the hottest shirt on the streets.
We got some merch. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's gonna even let the my camera doesn't like the rest of working. But yeah, did an unboxing of that. I have it's actually an old Google server. I'm getting ready to make sure it functions, and I'm going to install a operating system. We're going to go with the Linux Ubuntu server, and Friday, I believe that's going to be a whole bunch of. I'm breaking out all my old game systems. I'm going to run through a test of those, and I have an extra Wii. I'm going to mod and send it to my sister in Tulsa, and I'm going to remodify my mom's Wii. So yeah, it's a busy week.
Cool.
That's real cool.
Yeah, man. I gotta stay busy. I lost last week because I was pulling all this stuff out of storage. That's why there weren't any videos last week.
When you start modding, how many games are you going to put on it? Are you just going to put like a whole library or?
Um. Okay. Like with my Wii, I have every Atari, every Sega. The only Nintendo that's not on there is the Dolphin GameCube.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
It can even run PSX, PSX
Oh,
or
okay.
PS2 games.
Shit.
But
Nice.
I have every game.
That's what's up.
So, like there's a couple of PAL and EU games that just won't function.
Hmm.
But like there's settings, but they're just it's really hard to get a good copy of it. So like I don't even worry about it. But yeah, I have almost all those games.
That's cool. That's real cool.
Yeah, it's I even have a USB loader. So like if a game disc gets messed up, it'll just load it off the USB stick. But
See.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is for educational purposes only.
Yes. Wink, wink.
Winky, wink, wink.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Oh God.
Hoist the mainsail.
Oh. Okay. LB, go ahead and tell people where they can find you and what projects or anything you might have coming up.
Well, thank you for allowing me to listen to you all get real deep with this investigative journalism. That was special. I, I feel like I need to go read about a few books tonight. But everyone, you can find my channel. It's called The Lonely Banter. The keyword is banter, people. So if you find my channel and you take me seriously 100%, just remember it's called The Lonely Banter.
Disclosure. Oh God.
I just realized it sounds like you're talking to yourself.
Possibly.
Lonely Banter would be talking to yourself. That's awesome.
Mm,
Oh,
wow.
Rich, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you and your content or any projects you have coming up.
U.N.D. Gamer Die. Oh man, I went brain dead. Twitter,
You can find them
YouTube.
on Twitter,
Yeah,
YouTube.
YouTube. Oh yeah, I even have the U.N.D. Gamer Die Facebook page as well. I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting to bring that up. I'm dropping the old school game of the week. I guess technically it's Tuesday, so tonight.
Dun, dun, dun,
Uh,
dun.
yeah, dropping that. Gonna be doing a review on Ninja Turtles. I guess technically it would be Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm doing
Ooh.
dropping Turtles in Time. That was like one of my favorite games for Super Nintendo. So dropping that tonight. Yeah, love Turtles in Time.
Lots of wasted time at my best friend's house and grateful playing that game.
That game was so much fun.
Exactly. Yeah, it was.
Oh man. Well, I want to thank all of you for coming and hanging out. And I know it got a little serious for a little bit because it was just so much information, and there's stuff for next week on that just to wrap certain things up or whatever. But there's so much new. There are other stories that have been coming out here and there. It just seems like it's what the media focuses on is all just political crap right now, and it's a dumpster fire, and I'm sick of it.
Mhm.
I don't get to vote, so I don't pay attention anymore. It's like, man, I'd love to get all worked up about shit and have a heart attack, but there's no point.
Right.
Yeah,
And in the end, there
exactly.
really isn't anything to give a shit about anyway. But whatever.
Mm.
Anyway, but we do the news roundtable. So far, it's been once a week, and we're gonna probably keep this. Yeah, I'll be posting this early in the morning on Tuesday, or Tuesday afternoon probably. And anyway, you can find everybody's contact